A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all-old-time radio.
This I believe. Survival, some men say, is all we can hope for. But Dr. Leon J. Saul, one of the nation's leading authorities on psychoanalysis, sees more to life than bare existence. Author of two recent and important books, Emotional Maturity and Bases of Human Behavior, here is Dr. Saul with his convictions about people.
I believe the immediate purpose of life is to live, to survive. All known forms of life go through life cycles. The basic plan is birth, maturing, mating, reproducing, death. Thus, the immediate purpose of human life is for each individual to fulfill his life cycle. This involves proper maturing into the fully developed adult of the species. The pine tree grows straight unless harmful influences warp it. So does the human being. It is a finding of the greatest significance that the mature man and woman have the nature and characteristics of the good spouse and parent, namely the ability to enjoy, responsible, working, and loving. If the world consisted primarily of mature persons, loving, responsible, productive, toward family, friends, and the world, most of our human problems would be resolved. But most people have suffered in childhood from influences which have warped their development. Hence, as adults, they have not realized their full and proper nature. They feel something is wrong without knowing what it is. They feel inferior, frustrated, insecure, and anxious. And they react to these inner feelings just as any animal reacts to any hurt or threat, by a readiness to fight or to flee. Flight carries them into alcoholism and other mental disorders. Fight impels them to crime, cruelty, and war. This readiness to violence, this inhumanity of man to man, is the basic problem of human life, for in the form of war it now threatens to extinguish us. Without the fight-flight reaction, man would never have survived the cave and the jungle. But now, through social living, man has made himself relatively safe from the elements and the wild beasts. He is even learning to protect himself against disease. He can produce adequate food, clothing, and shelter for the present population of the earth. Barring a possible astronomical accident, he now faces no serious threat to his existence except one, the fight-flight reaction within himself. This jungle readiness to hurt and to kill is now a vestigial hangover like the appendix, which interferes with the new and more powerful means of coping with nature through civilization. Trying to solve every problem by fighting or fleeing is the primitive method still central for the immature child. The later method, understanding and cooperation, requires the mature capacities of the adult. In an infantile world, fighting may be forced upon one. Then it is more effective if handled maturely for mature goals. Probably war will cease only when enough persons are mature. The basic problem is social adaptation and biologic survival. The basic solution is for people to understand the nature of their own biological, emotional maturity, to work toward it, to help the children in their development toward it. Human suffering is mostly made by man himself. It is primarily the result of the failure of adults because of improper child rearing to mature emotionally. Hence, instead of enjoying their capacities for responsible work and love, they are grasping, egocentric, insecure, frustrated, anxious, and hostile. Maturity is the path from madness and murder to inner peace and satisfying living for each individual and for the human species. This I believe on the evidence of science and through personal observation and experience.
That was Dr. Leon J. Saul, professor of clinical psychiatry at the University of Pennsylvania School of Medicine, who believes the key to happiness and well-being lies in the understanding of men's minds.
The Anchor-Hawking Glass Corporation brings you Crime Photographer.
Wasn't that that hypnotist over at the Oddfellows Hall really something?
Yeah, he sure had some surprising stunts, didn't he?
Yeah, like when he put those guys to sleep. Then he wakes them up. And always the first words they say are exactly what the hypnotist told us they'd say.
Yeah, but I've seen that done often.
You know, Casey, I'd like to have that hypnotist try it on Tony Marvin.
No dice, Ethelbert. No matter what, as soon as Tony woke up, he'd say...
Anchor Hocking, the most famous name in glass. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Tony Marvin. Every week at this time, the Anchor Hocking Glass Corporation of Lancaster, Ohio, and its more than 10,000 employees bring you another adventure of Casey, crime photographer, ace cameraman who covers the crime news of a great city. Our adventure for tonight, The Fix. Early afternoon, the Blue Note Cafe. Ethelbert, the head bartender, is engaged in conversation with a rather weak-looking young man and a very good-looking young woman when the street door opens and...
Whoa.
Oh, it's nice and warm in here, Casey.
Boy, does that heat feel good, Annie.
Wow, look who's here.
Hi, Ethelbert. Hi.
Hello, Ethelbert.
Casey.
Huh? But doggone. How are you, Archie?
Fine, and you?
Well, I'll feel better when spring comes.
Don't you remember me, Casey?
Mildred.
Hello.
Well, what do you know? Say, you look like a million in that mink coat.
Thank
I
you.
gather you know these folks, Casey.
I've known Archie ever since he was a punk at grammar school, Ethelbert, and Miss Sells.
Our acquaintance goes back only a few years to the Warren affair.
Yeah. Oh, excuse me, Miss Ann Williams, Miss Mildred Sells.
Hello, Miss Al. How do you do?
And Archie Purcell.
Pleasure, Miss Williams.
Oh, thank you.
You know Archie's father, Annie. He's one of our favorite cops.
Not Lieutenant Purcell.
Mm-hmm.
He's my old man.
Well, we have a great admiration for your father.
Yeah, he's quite a guy.
They don't come any better.
Well, Miss Sells and I must be running along. We have a date.
Yes, it was nice meeting you, Miss Williams. See you again, Casey.
That goes double.
Must get together sometime.
Yeah, we'll try to, Archie.
I paid you, didn't I, Ethelbert? Yeah, we're all square. Well, see all of you again.
Yeah, so long.
Bye. Bye.
Come again. We will, Ethelbert. Blondes. Wow. There goes one beautiful babe, Casey.
Yeah. She's dynamite, too. I mean that literally. You know, she's a stooge for old Iron Hat.
Tim Lansing?
The political leader?
Yes, sir, the boss. The big crook under the old-fashioned derby who protects professional gambling in this midtown section.
How does that swell-looking gal stooge for him?
Names are used in all the big rackets, pal.
Like the boss of the Philistines hired that babe Delilah to soften up Samson, huh?
Been catching up on your reading. Well, that's the classical case, yeah.
Casey, Lieutenant Purcell has caused Lansing more trouble than anyone else in this town. He heads the gambling squad, and if that Mildred Sells is making a play for his son...
I thought of that, Annie, the moment I recognized her. Say, you were talking to them when we came in, Ethelbert. How did he and Mildred act together?
Well, they seem pretty sweet on one another, Casey.
She may be legitimate this time and just like Archie.
Say, Casey, she said you met her at the time of the Warren affair. What did she mean?
The murder of Mike Warren.
Murder?
Of Mike Warren?
Yeah, he owned the clip joint where Mildred worked, and somebody put a bullet through his head one morning. She was questioned like all his employees.
I remember the case.
Oh, so do I, vaguely. Warren's murder's still unsolved, isn't it?
Yeah. Say, what did you hear Archie Purcell and that girl talk about while they were here, Ethelbert, huh?
Oh, he introduced me to the gal. Mentioned he just bought ringside seats for the big fight on Saturday night, right in the middle of the third row.
The third row?
Mm-hmm. He and the gal was going together, he said.
And he bought them?
Uh-huh. From a scalper.
His scalpers are getting $200 apiece for ducats like that, and Archie's job can't pay him much more than that a month.
Well, Casey, you suppose they...
Say, it's peculiar.
Yeah, pal. It's very peculiar.
Will you answer that, Whitey? Okay, Brent. Hello.
I'd like to speak to either Mr. Kelton or Mr. Watts.
Kelton speaking.
This is Archie Purcell.
I don't know you, friend.
You may have heard of my father, Police Lieutenant Frank Purcell.
I've heard of him.
We thought you might like to talk over a little matter with me. I'm downstairs in the lobby of your hotel right now.
We'll be right down.
What is it, Whitey?
The shakedown we expected, but not from the source we expected.
What do you mean?
Down in Florida, they told us the guy who fixed things in this town was Lansing. The guy to be careful of was Purcell. Purcell's son just gave me to come hither.
This don't sound right.
We'll soon see how right it is. Put your coat on, Brent, and let's go.
I imagine you gentlemen have convinced yourselves of my identity.
You're Lieutenant Purcell's son, all right.
What do you want?
You two are professional gamblers from Florida. Don't you know this is a closed town?
We're willing to play ball, but friends down in Florida told us we'd get a call from a gentleman named Lansing.
My father is head of the gambling squad.
I see. You mean there'll be no arrests if we play ball with you?
Figure it out.
You've identified this gentleman as Purcell's son, Whitey.
Yeah. Okay. What do we kick in, Purcell?
$1,000 a week.
Hey, that's murder.
We're not big timers. We run small games.
$1,000 a week in advance.
No.
We're hooked, Whitey. Pay the man.
Okay, Brent. But remember, kid, this buys us complete protection.
Thanks for the tip, Casey. And to you, Miss Williams. I didn't know my son was running around with this Mildred saleswoman. We're going to have a talk with Archie.
Now, we may be all wrong about her, Lieutenant Purcell.
I hope we are, Frank.
Excuse me. Gambling squad, Lieutenant Purcell speaking.
I got a red-hot tip for you, Lieutenant.
Who is this?
Never mind that. You can pick up 2 card shops. They're registered at the Hotel Fultonian. There's Brent Watts and George Kelton. There's a poker party going on in their suite right now. That's all. Goodbye.
I couldn't help but hear that one, Frank. The old anonymous tipster.
A lot of our information comes in that way, Casey. Most of it's on the level. I've got to leave you and Miss Williams. Go to work.
A little surprise visit to the Hotel Fultonian?
Right away.
Let's tag along, Casey.
Why not, Annie? Let's go.
What is it?
Hey, what's the idea you cops busting in here?
All of you men are under arrest.
You're making a big mistake, fella. Before you make a bigger one, I suggest you get in touch with your boss. Tell him you've busted in on Brent Watts and Whitey Kelton. Tell that to Lieutenant Frank Purcell.
Yeah? I happen to be Lieutenant Purcell.
What?
You?
Just why did you want to get that little message to me?
Hey, there's been a slip-up, Brent.
Yeah. Guess you haven't talked to your son since he saw us.
My son?
Uh-huh. Can I have a word with you alone?
Anything you have to say can be said right here.
Okay. If you want it that way. We fixed your son with $1,000 this afternoon for complete protection.
What happened to them gamblers, Casey?
Well, Lieutenant Purcell got the full story about Archie from him, then took him to headquarters and put him in cells.
Archie had traded on his father's reputation to extort dough, huh?
Yeah.
What does he say about it? Archie, I mean.
Oh, he hasn't been found yet. And Mildred denied that she knew anything about Archie's fix racket.
Yeah, but the whole thing smells like old Iron Hat Lansing. One of his lawyers sprung the 2 guys this morning.
What does Lansing get out of it, Casey?
He's thrown suspicion of bribery on Frank Purcell.
Well, how? Purcell raided them gamblers and threw them into the cooler, which proves he wasn't protecting them like his son promised.
Yeah, but a lot of people will think there was a slip-up, though, Ethelbert. That Archie neglected to tell his father.
I wouldn't. On the strength of just this one instance.
No, I wouldn't either, Casey. And their accusation can't be blown up into a news story. Nothing novel about racketeers accusing cops of dirty work. Last night's affair won't even get into print.
Well, not as it stands now, but...
There's the bar phone. Excuse me.
Go ahead, answer it.
Blue Note Cafe, Ethelbert speaking. Just a second. Your city desk, Casey.
Huh? Oh.
Your city desk.
Hello. Yeah, she's here too, Bert. Haskins Memorial Hospital. Archie Purcell.
Archie Purcell?
We'll get there on the jump. Goodbye.
Casey, what's the matter?
The story will get into print now, Annie. Big prints. Archie was taken to the hospital a few minutes ago after being found in an alley, beaten almost to death.
Perhaps once in a decade, a new material is perfected which changes our standards of value. Now, such a material is jadeite, spelled Jadeite, jadeite. It makes possible dinnerware unlike anything you've known. Jadeite is really beautiful. It has the lovely texture and color of rare Chinese porcelain. And jadeite is unbelievably strong. It stands up under rough handling without chipping or cracking, and is so heat-proof you can safely put it in a hot oven. Yet jadeite actually costs less than the most ordinary dinnerware. For instance, a big jadeite platter costs only 25 cents in open stock, and a 35-piece dinner service for $6 is priced at less than $5 at your favorite chain store, department store, hardware store, or other store selling chinaware and glass. A set of jadeite is a perfect gift, and it makes it easy to replenish your own supply of dinnerware. Jadeite is the newest triumph of anchor hocking. The most famous name in glass.
Since the doctors wouldn't let us see Archie Purcell, Captain Logan, suppose you tell us what he had to say, if anything.
Well, he confirmed the story Watson Kelton had already told.
Shook him down for $1,000.
Yeah, Casey. He completely absolves his father of having any knowledge of his fix racket. And that won't help Frank Purcell much with the commissioner or the public.
No. What did Archie tell you about Mildred Sells?
He denies that she put him up to his racket or that she knew what he was doing.
What did she have to say?
Denies everything we think is so. We can't even hold her.
Well, who gave Archie his beating?
He says he doesn't know. Says it happened so suddenly he had no chance to see what the two guys looked like.
The two guys, huh?
Watts and Kelton were freed on bail this morning.
They had plenty of motive to go after Archie, Miss Williams. And when my men find him, they'll have to prove they didn't do the job.
Did you find anything at the scene of the beating?
No, but the guys who worked on Archie didn't do it just for fun. They cleaned his pockets before they left him.
Well, they took his dough, huh?
Took everything. Come in.
Detective Gritfo just brought in those two gamblers, Watson Kelton, sir.
That's fine.
But they claim to have an alibi for the time of the beating.
Yeah?
They say they were with the lawyer who sprung him this morning at John Ferris. And here's his home phone number, sir.
I'll call him right now. Not that I'd take the unsupported word on a Lansing's trained mouthpieces. It's beginning to look as though an alibi has been carefully set up for him, Casey. Hello. I want to speak to Mr. Ferris, please. Oh, Ferris, this is Captain Logan. We've got two new clients of yours here at headquarters, Watts and Kelton. I'm sure you can tell me where they were between 8 and 9 this evening. Huh? You haven't seen them since noon today.
No alibi?
Thanks. That's all. Goodbye. You hear that, Casey?
Yeah. Gives me the idea that those guys may be telling the truth and somebody's trying to frame them.
Yeah. Ferris may have got them to his house tonight just so they couldn't establish a real alibi elsewhere.
But why?
I don't know, Miss Williams. Yet. Sergeant, bring in Watson Kelton. We'll hear what they have to say.
Well, Logan, they said they'd been framed.
Yeah, for a solid hour, they said it, Casey.
Mm-hmm. And it sounded on the level.
Well, the setup's fairly plain, Logan. Iron Hat's a shrewd guy. The anonymous tip that made Frank Purcell raid that game was just the first part of his scheme. He knew the squawk they'd make about Archie would attract enough attention to discredit Lieutenant Purcell, so Iron Hat has a near murder performed on Archie that's sure to hit the front pages. And he makes sure it'll stay on the front pages by framing Watts and Kelton as the near murderers.
Yeah, he's sure going to make it look bad for an honest guy like Lieutenant Purcell.
What can you do about it?
As things stand now, nothing.
I'm not so sure of that, Logan. Archie's pockets were empty when he was found.
Yeah.
I have to know he had a pair of tickets for the big fight tomorrow night. It's 100 to 1 that they were on him when he was frisked. I'm wondering if the guys who took him won't use us.
Hey, if we could pick those guys up and make them talk.
Archie can tell us the location of those seats.
Yeah, not for a couple of days. The docks have them filled with drugs, and the fight's tomorrow night.
What?
Now, wait a minute. Ethelbert said they were in the 3rd or 4th row center.
There's over 20 sections in that arena, Miss Williams, and unless we know what...
Wait a minute, wait. Mildred Sells knows. She was going to the fight with Archie.
She won't tell.
Well, she might tell me a lot of things, pal. She's worried about Archie, and she likes him. When I call on her, I have a hunch she may get confidential with a sympathetic friend.
You've just come from the hospital, Casey.
Yes, Mildred.
Well, how is Archie?
I got some news, Mildred. It was not pleasant.
Well, Archie isn't...
No. He isn't dead. But he's in pretty bad shape.
Oh, no.
The docs say he has a chance to pull through if he wants to.
If he wants
He
to?
realizes what he's done to his old man. He hasn't got much interest in living.
I know.
How do you suppose Archie got himself into this mess, huh?
Oh, I don't know.
Said he wanted the dough to spend on you.
The cops told me that.
What gave him the idea to get the dough that way?
I don't know.
Archie was going to take you to the fight tonight, huh?
Yeah.
Get tickets for swell seats. Remember where they were?
I couldn't forget. He was so proud of having gotten them. He told me over and over.
Yeah. Where were they?
Numbers 8 and 9 in the 3rd row of Section F. Why?
Just curious. You know, Mildred, you're the only one who can save Archie's life.
Casey, what do you mean?
He's going to die unless it can be proven that he was just a fall guy in this fix setup. And that he was pushed into it so his old man would be kicked out of the police department. He won't say that you had anything to do with it because he's in love with you. He's protecting you. But if you care anything about him, you'll tell me and you'll tell the cops that Iron Hat Lansing engineered this whole raw deal.
If I do talk to you and the cops, Casey, I'll be arrested for murder.
What?
But I'm going to talk.
Wait a minute, I don't
I
get
went to work for Tim Lansing after Mike Warren was killed. I had to because Lansing had evidence that would convict me of the killing.
You shot
No, I didn't shoot Warren. I don't know who did. But I'd written a crazy letter threatening to kill him. He and I had been friends. He'd gotten tired of it. Well, Lansing found that letter and held it over me.
Yeah, that sounds like Iron Hat.
About Archie, Lansing told me to make a play for him, to get him to spend more money than he could afford to. Then to suggest that he could get easy money by shaking down gamblers in his father's name. I did it. And then I fell in love with him. But I didn't know he was going to be hurt like this. I didn't know.
Come on down to headquarters, kid. We'll tell all this to Captain Logan.
All right, I'll get my coat. Someone's at the door. I'll see who it is.
And give him a quick brush off.
Yes, I will.
Hello, Mildred.
Mr. Lansing.
I happened to be near your apartment, so I thought I'd drop in. Well, Casey.
Hello, Lansing.
What are you doing here?
Casey and I are old friends.
I didn't know that. How's the picture-taking business, son?
Just about the same, Daddy, like that derby you wear.
Yeah, hard hat's the only sensible hat, boy. And since you've got your hat in your hand, guess you're fixing to leave. Don't let me stop you.
I was going with Casey, Mr. Lansing. He said he'd drop me off at a store. I have some shopping to do.
Pretty late for shopping, Mildred. Anyway, I want to have a little talk with you. A private talk. Nice to see you, Casey. So long.
Wait downstairs, Casey.
Okay. So long, Mildred.
So long.
See you later, Lansing.
Goodbye, son.
Don't ring for the elevator, pal.
What?
We'll take the stairs, you and me.
That gun in your hand makes me agree to that.
Yeah, I figured it would.
What's this all about?
Me and a friend are taking you for a little ride. A nice drive out to the seashore.
Look, how much longer are you guys going to keep me in this beach house here?
Like I told you before, Bud, we're waiting for orders.
Whose orders?
That's something we ain't saying.
Yeah, I hope we get them orders pretty soon. I want to see that fight.
Fight?
Yeah, me and my pal has ringside tickets to the big scrap tonight, bud.
Yeah. Ringside tickets, huh?
Right down in front.
Seats like that are hard to get.
We didn't have no trouble.
It was easy. Hey, car's driving up.
Give a look out the window.
Butch.
He'll be bringing our orders.
He's also bringing the Celtic.
The Celtic? I see.
Open the door for Butch.
I'm doing it.
Here's more company for you guys. Get in, sister.
Casey!
Hello, Mildred.
I didn't know they had you, too.
They got me, thanks to Iron Hat, I guess.
Yes, he told me he had me watched. He came to my apartment because he'd gotten a report that you were there and he was afraid I'd talk.
Yeah. He had him grab me in case you had.
Yeah.
That's enough conversation for you two. Sit down, sister, and shut up.
Hey, do we bump the two of them off, Butch?
Yeah, but not yet. You guys will stand guard over until the boss comes out here after the fight tonight.
He's going to the fight while we stay here.
That's his orders.
Look. Hey, we want to see that fight.
You'll do as you're told. I'm heading back to town now. I'm going to the scrap myself. So long.
Fault the lousy.
It ain't fair, it ain't.
Hey, why don't you gentlemen go to the fight? We'd be glad to stay here till you come back.
Wise guy, ain't you, bud?
Hey, got an idea at that.
Are you nuts?
No, we can tie these babies up, can't we? We'll get back here before the boss shows up.
Well, I'm beginning to believe you got brains.
Sure, I got brains.
Hey, what if the boss sees us at the fight?
He won't, because his seats are on the other side of the ring. I saw his ticket.
Yeah, come on, let's get to work. Hey, this was really your suggestion, fella.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks.
Why haven't I learned to keep my big mouth shut? I slipped the gag off my mouth, Mildred. Now, listen. Wait. I can see your hands. They weren't as careful with you as they were with me. I think you can get loose. Now, go to work, kid. Go to work.
I'm free, Casey.
All right, get the wire off me.
That won't take very long. I only have to untie it. It isn't tied in very tight.
I feel plenty tight.
Wait a minute. Now, there. Got it off your hands.
Jiminy, what a relief. All right, I can get it off my feet.
Casey.
What? There's a car driving up.
What do you suppose that is?
Get to that window and see, will you?
Stop outside. Get that wire off your feet.
I'm working on it right now.
Casey, it's Lansing.
Lansing?
He's getting out of the car.
He must have decided to skip the fight. Is anybody with him?
No. He was alone. He's coming toward the door. Get that wire off, Casey.
This is a tight knot.
Well, untie it quick.
Open up in there. You fellas see me drive up?
Casey, quick.
I'm doing the best I can.
Everyone asleep in there?
He may have the key if he comes in here before you get that off.
Follow me down.
He has the key.
Okay, kid. I'm finally free.
There he is.
And here he goes. I don't like to hit old guys like you, Iron Hat, but you didn't give me much choice.
He carries a gun, Casey. Get it.
I've got it. Come on, Lansing, get up. We're going to drive you and your car to police headquarters.
I had a feeling I should have come out here sooner than I planned, Casey. It seems I wasn't smart to come along.
Nobody in your racket is smart, Lansing. Come on. We're going to the nearest precinct station.
Yeah, as soon as I pick up my hat, you knocked it off.
Come on, pick up your derby. You look naked without it.
Yeah, I'm attached to this old hat, and here's the ring.
He had another gun in that hat.
You take the next bullet.
No, Lansing, you take it. I had your other gun, you know.
Casey, you've got him. You're bleeding.
He only got me through the shoulder. It's not...
No, come on, sit down. Let me stop that blood.
Now, let me see what I did to him first. Pick up that second gun he dropped. Will you?
Your aim's as rotten as mine, Casey. I got it in the shoulder, too.
That's swell. I don't like to kill even rats like you. Well, let's make sure you haven't got still another gat on you. It's a neat trick, that rod in your derby.
There's a frame inside that held it, Casey.
I see it.
Yeah, you won't find another rod in me, boy. Two have always been enough until now. Look here, you young people. I've got lots of dough. We can make a deal.
Sure, we'll make a deal. A deal that'll put you out of circulation for attempted murder. Come on, let's get started.
We'll join the crowd at the Blue Note in just a moment. You know, American children are the healthiest children in the world, largely because most American babies now get a good, sound start in life. Much of the credit for this is due to our American food packers who produce convenient, scientifically prepared baby foods. The young mother can now give her baby well-balanced, nourishing meals without spending endless extra hours in the kitchen. In selecting prepared baby foods for your baby, whether fruits, vegetables, soups, or meats, it's wise to insist on two things. One, a brand name with which you're familiar, and two, a glass jar. Sterile, crystal-clear Anchor glass jars can't possibly affect purity or flavor. And because you heat and serve foods in the same glass jars in which you buy them, and then reseal the jars to store leftovers, mothers save precious hours each week. Most of the better brands of prepared baby foods are packed in clean, sanitary Anchor glass jars and sealed under vacuum with easy-to-open, easy-to-reseal Anchor caps. Both products of Anchor Hocking. The most famous name in glass.
Mildred Sells ain't going to be accused of the Mike Warren murder, huh?
No, not a chance, Ethelbert. The very good reason that the bullet found in Warren's body years ago was fired from the automatic that Lansing wore in his iron hat.
A ballistics comparison proved that beyond any doubt.
Lansing killed Warren?
Mm-hmm. After he found a letter that would incriminate Mildred if suspicion were pointed his way.
Well, what do you know?
At least one other thing. The DA won't bear down too heavy on the extortion charges against Archie. He and Mildred are going to be married.
The DA and Mildred?
Oh.
Oh, no, of course not. Excuse me.
Right, boy.
You know, this has turned out so nice and romantical, it makes me feel good. Almost like throwing a party on the house.
Almost.
With that big bandage on your shoulder, you couldn't lift the glass, Casey. Ain't it too bad?
Yeah. Al, I got news for you. I got one good arm.
And I've got two good ones to help both of us with.
Why don't I learn to keep my big mouth shut?
Crime Photographer, starring Stotts Cotsworth as Casey, is written by Alonzo Dean Cole. It is brought to you each Thursday by the Anchor Hocking Glass Corporation, makers of Fire King Oven Glass, Anchor Glass Containers, Anchor Caps and Closures, all products of Anchor Hocking, the most famous name in glass. Photographer is directed by John Dietz and is based on the fictional character of Flash Gun Casey, created by George Harmon Cox. Original music is by Archie Blyer, and the program features Miss Jan Miner as Anne and John Gibson as Ethelbert. Herman Chittison is the Blue Note pianist. Once again, it is your privilege to aid in the increasing fight against suffering, disease, and disaster. Once again, your American Red Cross confidently appeals to American generosity to support its humane work. This year, then, give a little more, because the need is greater. This is Tony Marvin saying good night for the Anchor Hocking Glass Corporation of Lancaster, Ohio, with offices in all principal cities of the United States and Canada. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
This, I believe. Leonard N. Simons is a partner in an advertising agency. In addition, he is one of Detroit's most active and valuable citizens. His activities include welfare, business, and interfaith organizations, both on the community and national levels. Here is the creed which motivates this untiring service.
I believe with all my heart that man was put on this earth to serve mankind. The satisfaction I get whenever I have the opportunity to accomplish something worthwhile for someone or some group is proof to me that life's biggest thrills are secured from deeds of kindness and goodwill. For me to earn the warm thanks expressed in a sincere handshake for something which I have done is reward beyond measure. When I was a boy, I lived with my grandparents. Here were two people who had very little of the material things, yet I never heard them complain. The affection and respect they had for each other and for those with whom they came in contact made an indelible impression upon me. In the tradition of my religion, when a boy reaches 13, he becomes of age, a man. My grandfather at the time gave me these words of wisdom. Love, respect, and generosity are the three most important words in the dictionary. If you have certain talents that permit you someday to make a lot of money, then remember this, my boy, a shroud has no pockets. My grandparents' philosophy of life has been the inspiration for my own. 23 years ago, I became a partner in an advertising agency. I determined then that I would set aside a part of my time to the job of helping, without payment or fee, organizations and people who had need for the type of assistance which I was qualified to give. Since that time, I have lived by that plan, and while our list of business clients is far from the most impressive one in our profession, our list of charitable, civic, and national organizations which we have assisted represents an effort on my part to place service to my fellow man on as high and universal a plane as I can attain. That list gives me the most satisfaction when I take inventory of my assets. I am indeed fortunate because I lead a full and happy life. I believe that by trying to live usefully, I have become a better man myself, and in so doing have earned the respect of my neighbors and the love of my family. What more could anyone ask? I believe that death is not final, if by virtue of what I have been able to contribute to the happiness of others, I continue to live in the memory of the many people with whom I have been associated. It is my belief that the money I earn is only as good as the good it can do during my lifetime. Beyond what I believe I need for my family's security, the rest belongs to the service of my fellow man. I believe I should try to help in my own small way to create a better world in which to live and in which to raise a family by continuing to extend a friendly hand to those who need my help. I try to judge men by the goodness of their hearts. I have found peace of mind in trying to do the things that I hope will find favor in the eyes of God. Years ago, I read a statement of Charles Schwab, former president of U.S. Steel Corporation, and it strengthened my own philosophy of life. He said, "Most of my troubles have been due to my being good to people. If young folks want to avoid trouble, they should be hard-boiled and say no to everybody. Then they will walk through life unmolested. But they will do without friends and won't have much fun." I believe he was right, and that my own true worth, my real wealth, is the large number of friends that I have. If I reach a ripe old age, I believe I shall be able to draw on a rich storehouse of memories.
They're the beliefs of Leonard N. Simons, a Detroit advertising man with a strong sense of responsibility for his fellow men.
Crime does not pay.
You? Yourself? Oh, really now, Mr. Trident?
Why not, Mrs. Hunter? Don't you believe I'm susceptible? That I might be lonely, too?
That's hard to believe. After all, you're the man who's helped so many people to find each other. So many lonely hearts are lonely no longer because of you and what you've done.
Yes, I dare say. But that is so, my dear Mrs. Hunter, because I understand loneliness. I understand the hunger for companionship of the opposite sex, from personal experience.
Yes, I can understand that. Of course.
And then your picture fell out of the envelope that fateful morning, and something clicked. I hardly dared believe it. I wrote to you anyway. When you walked in here today, it was as if that picture had come to life. Now I know I shall never be lonely again. Do you understand this, Mrs. Hunter? Do you, Elizabeth? You must, because from now on, you and I shall never be parted. Never. If I have anything to say about it.
of good citizenship and law enforcement, we present Crime Does Not Pay, based on the famous Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer series of short subjects. In just a moment, you will hear Love Is Not All, starring Ralph Forbes. Now, Crime Does Not Pay, starring Ralph Forbes as Augustus J. Dryden in Love Is Not All. It was a rather shabby building, nothing new or modern. Just another office building with rows of doors along the slightly dank hallways, the gilt lettering tarnished and peeling on the frosted glass of the doors. This door was exactly like the others, except for its rather intriguing announcement in fading gilt. Union of Lonely Hearts, it announced in large letters. In the lower right-hand corner, quite neatly and simply, Augustus J. Dryden, counselor. Inside, the filing cabinets crowded the railing and the desk behind the railing. At that desk, blondine Margot Wells presided and investigated the contents of the day's mail. A chore at which she was ably assisted by one Muggsy Penfield and her employer, Augustus J. Dryden himself.
For your file, my dear.
Check, boss.
Oh, there is a check in this one, Gus.
Just the usual fee. Pictures, too?
No. Not very interesting.
There's a request here from Dallas, boss.
I'll handle that later.
Oh, no.
There's something amusing, my dear?
Get this. You may assure any woman who becomes at all interested in me that I am well able to take care of her now and will leave her well provided for in the future. Of course, as my wife, she would have certain responsibilities, as the enclosed photo indicates. But before very long, they will all be ready to take care of themselves. And look, just look, count them, 9.
What?
9 of all sizes.
And the man says he's lonely.
He's probably got nobody to talk to, except the 9 brats. You want him, Margaret?
Are you kidding? What'll I do, file him in the wastebasket?
Checking 12?
10, the registration fee.
Oh, regular procedure.
But nobody will ever marry him.
File him. Reply with Form 1. In a month, request the second fee. This is business, Margot.
Are we using the mails to defraud again?
Hardly, my dear. After all, we file him in good faith. His 9 offspring are hardly our responsibility.
All right, Gus, you're the boss.
St. Louis has a request, referral and some jewelry. Also, a couple of minks, one of those coat check jobs.
Margaret, we don't discuss that side of our business in the front office, remember?
Oh, sorry, boss. See you in the back later, huh? Oh, and here's Bar Hop.
That one again.
Same character.
Burn the letter. We never received it. It's stuff is altogether too easily traced.
Check, boss.
Not bad, this one, for her age. What's your guess, Gus?
Nice-looking one. Only touch snapshot, too. I'd say about 40.
Hey, that's the dangerous age.
Dangerous? For whom? Any money, Margot?
Registration fee. Here's the letter.
With paper. Heavy. Engraved letterhead. Mrs. Elizabeth Hunter. 5022 East Green Street. Good address.
What'd she say, boss? What'd she say?
You may think it strange, a woman in my obvious circumstances, interested in meeting new people, lack of companionship, some well-educated gentleman. Am I well-educated, Margot?
In what way?
Well, I've been to college, upriver, that is.
You learn plenty there.
Hardly a subject for small talk.
Hey, are you thinking of fooling around with this yourself?
And why not?
Because you got more important things to do, boss.
More important than a woman of obvious means, house on Green Street? Not bad to look at? Muggsy, you never had much vision.
Yeah, I don't need vision to see trouble coming.
Nonsense. Why, with her money, we might expand this business. Margot, take a letter. My dear Mrs. Hunter, letters from ladies of your caliber are, of course, quite rare in our correspondence. We do have in our files the applications of a few, very few gentlemen of equal standing. This fact requires an abnormal procedure on the part of our agency. If you would be kind enough to call for an appointment, I shall be most honored to give you my personal attention. Yours very truly, etc., etc. Put that in the mail, Margot, my dear, and we shall see what we shall see.
I beg your pardon, Miss. Oh, yes, ma'am? This is the office of Augustus J. Dryden. Of the Union of Lonely Hearts? Yes, it is. May I help you? I have an appointment. My name is Hunter, Elizabeth Hunter. Oh, of course. One moment, please.
Yes, Margot?
Mr. Dryden, Mrs. Hunter is here. Mrs. Elizabeth Hunter.
Yes, is she? I don't time, darling. Send her in. No, wait. I'll be right out.
Oh, yes, sir. Of course. Mr. Dryden will be right with you.
Mrs. Hunter, please, won't you come in? This is a pleasure. Real pleasure.
Why, yes, of course.
Oh, this way, please. Miss Wells, I am not to be disturbed.
Yes, Mr. Dryden, of course. Not to be disturbed.
Sit down, my dear Mrs. Hunter. Please, sit down.
Thank you.
No, not there. In this chair.
Oh.
Where I can see you better and you can see me.
Well, thank you again.
Cigarette?
No, thank you. Mr. Dryden, this is the first time in my life I've ever done anything like this.
Well, that hardly makes it wrong. Thousands, literally thousands of people come to me for counsel. You saw the file cabinets in the outer office. There are more in yonder closet. Surely we have the blessing of hundreds, if not thousands, of happy people in our work.
You seem to believe in your work, Mr. Dryden.
I believe in people.
And in yourself, too, perhaps. A little.
I have had great confidence in myself until a few moments ago.
I don't quite follow you, Mr. Dryden.
Until the moment I stood in that doorway and saw you.
Until you saw me.
And then I knew what I had suspected for some days. That this is now the old story of Dr. Cure thyself.
Mr. Dryden.
Why should you be surprised? Surely you ought not to be shocked. After all, you and I are both mature. We are, shall we say, a man and a woman of the world. We know that stranger things have happened unless a man sees a woman in a setting in which he obviously does not belong and knows immediately that he has, as the youngsters say, fallen hard.
You? Yourself? Oh, really now, Mr. Dryden?
Why not, Mrs. Hunter? Don't you believe I'm susceptible?
That is hard to believe. After all, you're the man who has helped so many people find each other. So many lonely hearts are lonely no longer because of you and what you've done.
Yes, I dare say. But this is so, my dear Mrs. Hunter, because I understand loneliness. I understand the hunger for companionship of the opposite sex from a personal experience.
Yes, I can understand that, of course.
And then your picture fell out of the envelope that fateful morning. Something clicked. I hardly dared believe it. I wrote to you anyway. When you walked in here today, it was as if that picture had come to life. Now I know that I shall never be lonely again. Do you understand this, Mrs. Hunter? Do you, Elizabeth? You must. Because from now on, you and I shall never be parted. Never. If I have anything to say about it. How long is it that we've been seeing each other, Elizabeth?
A month, 6 weeks, 2 months. I don't remember. I don't much care. It's like the music in this place, like a dream. Is that why you take me here so often, Augustus?
Perhaps. So you dream, Elizabeth?
Of course. And sometimes, as now, it's difficult to tell reality from a dream.
You're quite beautiful tonight, my dear. You take me toward a dream world, too.
Do you dream, Augustus? Do you have a dream?
Do I? Yes. As a matter of fact, I believe I do.
Tell me.
It's far away now.
No, tell me.
It isn't a very large a dream.
I don't care. I want to know.
You might say it's just the expansion of the work which brought us together.
But you reach out now, all over the country. You've shown me your files.
I know. Still, this is only by letter. Think what it would mean, Elizabeth, if there were districts and even local offices of the Union of Lonely Hearts. What places where people could meet face to face, almost at once. Discreet, nice places. Think of the mistakes that could be avoided.
Clubs of lonely people who wouldn't be lonely anymore.
Exactly, my dear, exactly.
Oh, it's a wonderful idea. Why don't you do it, Augustus?
If I told you why, it would bring the practical world into our dreams, Elizabeth.
I see. You mean money? How much, Augustus? 10, 20,000?
At least 10. Perhaps as much as 20.
Would you let me be your partner? Your silent partner, Augustus? I feel your union brought us together. But I owe it to fate to help others in the same way. Please, Augustus, let me help.
Margot, I've got her. She's coming across. We're in business.
Sounds great, boss.
Well, from the looks of that new suit, Gus, it's going to be quite a business.
Yeah. My dear children, it's a cinch. A lead pipe cinch. From now on, or shortly hereafter, the fences are going to work for us instead of our working for them.
Huh?
I don't get it. Right now, we service them with a good word where the markets are for the hot merchandise. Okay. You get 5% on a sale. Where do we go from there?
Yeah, it's a good racket. The front even pays off for those $10 sucker checks from the Lonely Hearts. Yuck!
No vision, as I've said before. No vision.
Okay, dream boy. What's the nightmare?
Suppose we set up a deal in every big city, or most of the big cities for a starter, where we took the goods off the hands of the fences and sold them in the markets we know about ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
No more middlemen with information. Give me 2 years. I'll be the master fence, as the tabloids would say, in the whole country.
I begin to see.
Yeah, but you gotta have capital to start with.
I have it, children. I have it. Mama came through last night. Up to 20 grand. Only she thinks it's for setting up this Lonely Hearts routine across the country.
We are in business.
So this is love.
Maybe Margot might say. But to get along in this world, remember, love is not all. No, indeed. Love is not all.
In just a moment, Crime Does Not Pay will continue with Love Is Not All. Now we continue with Crime Does Not Pay, starring Ralph Forbes as Augustus J. Dryden in Love Is Not All. Elizabeth Hunter's money started the racket rolling for Gus Dryden and his cohorts. It took a little time, of course, and a fair amount of traveling on the part of Gus and Muggsy. But by dint of some silver-tongued persuasion and the occasional use of force, the business of disposing of stolen goods behind the facade of the Union of Lonely Hearts soon began to show a profit.
Where do you want to go tonight, Augustus?
Do you really want to go out, my dear?
Whatever you say.
I thought we might stay here tonight. We haven't had an evening alone in some time. I miss them.
Do you? Really? Do you know, Augustus, I should never have invested that money with you. Since then, well, look back. We've slowly drawn farther and farther apart.
You only think so, Elizabeth. Because I've been devoting so much of my time to protecting your investment.
I see. So that's what you've been doing.
More, my dear. I've been earning money for you. Here, Elizabeth, my sweet.
What?
Your first dividend. 5%, $1,000.
Well, this is a surprise.
Why should it surprise you? You're my backer. You receive dividends.
It might be nice to know what our assets are, besides goodwill.
Elizabeth, you're serious. You'd really like a financial statement.
I may be emotional on some subjects, Augustus, but with finances, I try to be businesslike.
Admirable, my dear. Truly admirable.
Oh, Gus, why don't we stop this fencing?
Fencing? How do you mean that, dear?
All this talk about finances. I don't care, really. I want to know if you still feel about me the way you said you did that first day in your office.
Of course I do, Elizabeth.
Then when will the business be in condition so that you can take a trip with me?
A, sort of honeymoon, my dear?
A real honeymoon, darling. South to Cuba, Venezuela, the Caribbean.
You make it sound enchanting. You really do.
When, Augustus?
Well, as you said yourself, when the business is on its feet.
And it isn't now with a 5% dividend?
Not where I want it. But the time will come, Elizabeth. Think of the happiness we have given us this far. Isn't that worth the postponing our own for a time? Isn't it, my dear? Margot, take a letter.
Yes, sir.
All right. My dear Elizabeth, herewith enclosed, please find your third quarterly dividend. The business is progressing rapidly, and the strides we are making seem to indicate an early return of your original capital and continued dividends. I hope to see you soon. As ever, Augustus. Well, that ought to hold her for a month or two.
Well, I hope so. She's been rather nasty on the phone. She insists you're in town, not out, like I keep telling her. Augustus, I've called a dozen times in 2 days. This girl has been telling me that you're out of town. Augustus, I want her fired at once. She lies.
But I have been out of town, my dear, until a few moments ago. And Margot will bear me out in that.
Oh, that's true, Mrs. Hunter. It's not true. I know. I saw you come in early this morning.
Elizabeth, you've been spying.
Augustus, a woman will do many things to save her pride.
I see. And you feel that I'm destroying your pride?
I think you've taken me, Augustus. I don't like the feeling of that.
You've been receiving dividends regularly, large ones.
I don't care about the financial side of our dealings, Augustus. But you used emotion to get me into business with you. That's nasty.
Look out, boy. There she blows.
That's a hard word, Elizabeth.
For a hard fact. You never had any intention of marrying me. Your talk of love and maturity was just that, talk.
Really, my dear, this is childish. And in front of Miss Wells.
I leave, if you'll permit me. No, stay. You probably know all about everything, with details. Augustus, I'm pulling out.
I'm dreadfully sorry you're taking things this way.
You'll be more sorry in a moment. I've learned the hard way, Augustus. Now I'm being hard. I want the balance of my capital with you, some $17,000. I want it now.
Surely, Elizabeth, you don't expect me to have that much cash in the office.
I'll take a check. You can come to the bank and have it certified for me.
Well, the firm's balance is not large. You know, furniture for the club in Frisco, advertising in Denver.
Augustus, once I thought you were a fascinating rascal. Now I think there's something dirty about you. You'll hear from me, Augustus, and you won't like what you'll hear. Ah, phew.
You needn't do that letter, Margot.
Trouble, Gus.
With her?
Mm-hmm.
I doubt it. Once she cools down...
I don't think she will. That kind of woman...
She's like every other woman. You're all ashamed to be shown up as suckers. You hate to admit that you're taken. The last thing in the world you want to admit in public is that love is not all. She won't make trouble, Margot. Not on your life. I'll come back here, my beautiful. We have more important things to talk about.
Yes, sir? What can I do for you?
Well,
May I see the counselor, please? Mr. Dryden, I mean.
Can I help you?
Well, no. It's a delicate matter.
Mr. Dryden is in conference with Mr. Penfield, but I'll see.
Yes, David.
Mr. Connell is here to see you, Mr. Dryden. I told him you were in conference.
Well, can't he wait till I'm through with Magdalene? That last haul of hot silver. What a take.
Can you wait a few minutes, Mr. Connell?
Well, I'm rather in a hurry. My problem won't take long.
Mr. Dryden, Mr. Connell is rather in a hurry.
All right, I'll be out.
He'll be right with you, Mr. Connell.
Thank you.
Margot. Miss Wells. Is this Mr. Connell?
Yes, sir, Mr. Dryden.
Oh, how do you do, Mr. Connell? My associate, Mr. Penfield.
How are you?
I'm fine. One moment, please. All right, Mrs. Hunter, come in, please. Are these the three of them?
Hey, what gives?
May I inquire what this is all about, Mr. Connell?
Yes, Sergeant. The Wells woman, Penfield, and Mr. Dryden himself.
Sergeant?
Yes, Sergeant Connell, fraud squad. With 2 warrants, Dryden. One for your arrest, and the other to search the place.
Well, this is ridiculous. In the first place, I never saw this woman before in my life. In the second place, I'd like to know what the charge is.
Simple fraud. For now, after we've examined the files, it'll probably be using the mails to defraud. Federal.
Well, this is preposterous. What could I have defrauded this person of?
Besides my self-respect, Mr. Dryden, merely $10 for which I have the canceled check. $10 paid to you for the purpose of obtaining introductions to people with whom I might be friends. And since you failed to perform that service, you defrauded me. Isn't that right, Sergeant?
Exactly right, ma'am. Now, I'll just have a look at those files.
And there are some more in the closet in the other office.
Well, perhaps I'll look at those first.
I deny everything, and I deny you the right to my private files.
Warrant here, Dryden.
I'm getting out of here. Margot, let's scram.
That's your life.
You stay where you are. Weiner, Matson, on the door, men. Now, those other files, Dryden.
I'll sue for false arrest. I'll have you broken, Colonel.
Out of my way. Out of my way, I said. All right, that the closet, Mrs. Hunter?
Yes, that's it.
I warn you.
Save it, Dryden.
Now, Sergeant, isn't there some way we can talk this over?
Don't crawl, Gus. Spare me that, at least. Don't crawl.
Well. Mrs. Hunter, you've unearthed something here. This man runs, well, it looks like a nationwide network of fences to dispose of stolen goods behind his Lonely Hearts front. This is far bigger than we thought.
So that's what you used my money for?
Look here, Sergeant. Don't be a fool. Just because there's a woman here isn't... Well, I still think we can talk it over.
Yes, you can talk it over. With a judge and jury. You better call your mouthpiece, Dryden. From the looks of this file, get going now. We're all heading downtown.
Crime does not pay. Ralph Forbes, who starred as Augustus Dryden in Love Is Not All, will be back with you in just a moment. Now, here in person is Ralph Forbes.
On the surface, Gus Dryden was a rather likable rascal, I suppose. But when you take the point of view that he used the hopes and dreams of everyday men and women to cloak his more nefarious enterprises, and then compounded the felony by preying on and destroying those dreams, he ceases to seem likable and shows up in his proper light as a rather despicable kind of man who received exactly what he deserved. And there should be pity for the gullible, lonely people who paid in money and heartache. The cost to them was not small. Always, for all concerned, the victim as well as the criminal, crime does not pay.
Thank you, Mr. Forbes. Crime Does Not Pay is written by Ira Marion and directed by Marks B. Loeb, with music composed and conducted by John Carte. Technical consultant is Burton B. Turkis. The events, characters, and names used in the story you have just heard are fictitious. Any similarity is purely coincidental.
This, I believe. Leonard N. Simons is a partner in an advertising agency. In addition, he is one of Detroit's most active and valuable citizens. His activities include welfare, business, and interfaith organizations, both on the community and national levels. Here is the creed which motivates this untiring service.
I believe with all my heart that man was put on this earth to serve mankind. The satisfaction I get whenever I have the opportunity to accomplish something worthwhile for someone or some group is proof to me that life's biggest thrills are secured from deeds of kindness and goodwill. For me to earn the warm thanks expressed in a sincere handshake for something which I have done is reward beyond measure. When I was a boy, I lived with my grandparents. Here were two people who had very little of the material things, yet I never heard them complain. The affection and respect they had for each other and for those with whom they came in contact made an indelible impression upon me. In the tradition of my religion, when a boy reaches 13, he becomes of age, a man. My grandfather at the time gave me these words of wisdom. Love, respect, and generosity are the three most important words in the dictionary. If you have certain talents that permit you someday to make a lot of money, then remember this, my boy, a shroud has no pockets. My grandparents' philosophy of life has been the inspiration for my own. 23 years ago, I became a partner in an advertising agency. I determined then that I would set aside a part of my time to the job of helping, without payment or fee, organizations and people who had need for the type of assistance which I was qualified to give. Since that time, I have lived by that plan, and while our list of business clients is far from the most impressive one in our profession, our list of charitable, civic, and national organizations which we have assisted represents an effort on my part to place service to my fellow man on as high and universal a plane as I can attain. That list gives me the most satisfaction when I take inventory of my assets. I am indeed fortunate because I lead a full and happy life. I believe that by trying to live usefully, I have become a better man myself, and in so doing have earned the respect of my neighbors and the love of my family. What more could anyone ask? I believe that death is not final, if by virtue of what I have been able to contribute to the happiness of others, I continue to live in the memory of the many people with whom I have been associated. It is my belief that the money I earn is only as good as the good it can do during my lifetime. Beyond what I believe I need for my family's security, the rest belongs to the service of my fellow man. I believe I should try to help in my own small way to create a better world in which to live and in which to raise a family by continuing to extend a friendly hand to those who need my help. I try to judge men by the goodness of their hearts. I have found peace of mind in trying to do the things that I hope will find favor in the eyes of God. Years ago, I read a statement of Charles Schwab, former president of U.S. Steel Corporation, and it strengthened my own philosophy of life. He said, "Most of my troubles have been due to my being good to people. If young folks want to avoid trouble, they should be hard-boiled and say no to everybody. Then they will walk through life unmolested. But they will do without friends and won't have much fun." I believe he was right, and that my own true worth, my real wealth, is the large number of friends that I have. If I reach a ripe old age, I believe I shall be able to draw on a rich storehouse of memories.
They're the beliefs of Leonard N. Simons, a Detroit advertising man with a strong sense of responsibility for his fellow men.
Calling all detectives. A man who is colorblind a $10,000 ruby, and the label on an ink bottle. Those are the exhibits on this page from my casebook. The casebook of Jerry Browning, private detective. Justice, they say, is blind. Maybe that's why a private detective like me, Jerry Browning, has to see twice as well as the average guy. I was in traffic court at the invitation of Judge Woodruff, who was trying to enlist help in a safety drive. He was doing his bit by really cracking down on offenders.
Speeding on a school street, $100 fine. Next case.
The bailiff called,
Bernard Thompson, arresting Officer John McConnell, charged doing 45 in a 25-mile zone, passing a red light.
Up front, a little man jumped from his seat.
Your Honor, I can explain everything. I couldn't tell that the light was red, and I was on my way to police headquarters.
Judge Woodruff leaned forward.
Let's have the details, Mr. Thompson.
Your Honor, the firm I work for, Jordan and Andre, the jewel importers, had a theft, a valuable ruby stolen. I was hurrying to police headquarters when I passed the light at Front and Grand Streets. You see, I'm colorblind, can't tell green from red.
The judge looked severe.
Colorblindness is a serious handicap, Mr. Thompson. You should not drive a car. How often have you been arrested for this sort of thing?
Well, never, Your Honor, and this time only because I was in an unfamiliar part of town. Where I usually drive, I've memorized the position of the lights. Generally, the red is at the top.
The judge hesitated, then beckoned to me. I walked up to the bench.
What do you think of that story, Browning?
Pretty thin. I'd say he was lying.
Mr. Browning, the court delegates you to accompany Mr. Thompson to the police and verify his story. If he's lying, I'll throw the book at him.
A traffic court judge delegated me to verify the story of a speeder who claimed to be colorblind. But at police headquarters, Thompson repeated his story about a ruby having been stolen from his employers.
What is the stone and what's it worth? It's the Caswan ruby, very valuable. Insured, of course, but not for its full worth.
Thompson then went on to say that his employers kept all unmounted stones together. The semi-precious stones right were the most valuable.
I can't be suspected. I wouldn't be able to pick a ruby out of the heap. Couldn't identify the color, you know.
Well, why wouldn't you? As who a tool or two?
Thompson explained his colorblindness, added,
I am the bookkeeper, sir. I have no knowledge of jewelry.
I asked one question. Mr. Thompson, why wasn't the loss reported by phone to the police instead of sending you all the way to headquarters? Thompson shrugged.
I couldn't say. Mr. Jordan, one of the partners, asked me to report it personally, and I do as I'm told.
And that was that. I reported back to Judge Woodruff that Thompson had been telling the truth, at least about the theft, then started back to my office. But when I passed the Greylock building where Jordan and Andre had their offices, I couldn't resist stopping off. I had a talk with Jordan, who told me, frankly, Mr. Browning, we sent Thompson to the police because we wanted an opportunity to check his books. And what did you find? The books are in perfect order. We did Mr. Thompson an injustice, even suspecting him. Maybe. Do you know that he's colorblind? I believe he's mentioned it. Mr. Browning, the Caswan ruby is worth $10,000. If you can recover it, I'll pay you 10% of its value. Mr. Jordan, that's a deal. The firm had 5 other employees, all with an employment record of over 15 years. Thompson had been there a little less than 3 years, which proved nothing. I found him in a little cubicle that served as his office. Being colorblind, Mr. Thompson, how do you know when you're making entries in red ink?
It's very simple, sir. Look.
He held up a bottle.
I merely read the label on the ink bottles. This one says black, the other one red.
I grinned. Okay. And by the way, Mr. Thompson, where did you work last?
Why, in California for the Marwick Company in San Diego. I didn't care for the climate.
A trifle too warm for you?
No, Mr. Browning. Too damp.
I let it go at that. But just as soon as I got back to my office, I wired San Diego for a complete report on Thompson. I checked with the insurance company, learned that the Kazwan ruby was insured for $5,000, valued at twice that much. I spent the rest of the day doing routine checks on the firm's other employees, got nothing of interest. The report on Thompson came in the next morning. He had worked for the Marwick Company, a high-class specialty store, as head bookkeeper for 7 years. Left of his own accord. I would have filed and forgotten the report except for one sentence. Thompson not colorblind so far as anybody here knows. Well, that was interesting. A man can't work 7 years at a place and keep something like colorblindness a secret. I picked up the phone. Long distance? I want to place a call to San Diego, California. The Marwick Company. There was one question I wanted answered, and when I got my party... During the time Bernard Thompson worked for you, was there any unexplained theft of money or merchandise? There was? An emerald from your jewelry department? You consider it a shoplifting case. 2 years before he left. Well, thank you very much. You'll hear from me. That evening, I had a conference with both Jordan and Andre, and the next morning at their office, I walked into Thompson's cubicle. He had the books of the firm spread out on his desk and was making entries in them. I glanced over his shoulder, watched the figures being entered in a neat, round hand. Finally, Mr. Thompson, how long will you try to keep pretending you're colorblind?
But I'm not pretending, sir, and you can't prove I am.
I've proved it already. Last night I shifted the ink in your bottles. The one that's labeled red now has black ink, and the black-labeled bottle has red ink in it. You don't really bother to read the labels. You just go by color, as any person with normal vision does. And since you haven't mixed the colors in your entries, you, Mr. Thompson, are under arrest. That did it, of course. With his colorblindness disproved, it didn't take long to get a confession. We recovered the Kazwan ruby from a deposit box he'd rented under a false name. The emerald he'd stolen in California he'd long since sold. He had no part of that money left, since it appeared he had a slightly less than perfect system for beating the horses. I collected my reward, and Thompson got 5 years for stealing the ruby. He'll have to face trial in California when he finishes serving the term here. Like I said, justice may be blind, but sooner or later, it manages to see through a phony. Listen next time to Calling All Detectives, mystery drama, mystery quiz, and a chance for you to match wits with yours truly, Jerry Browning, private detective.
That knife. What are you going to do with that knife?
Nothing, Kitty. Nothing at all. I'm just going to cut you open, see if you've got a heart. See, I don't believe you have. And I just want to prove how a body can walk around without one.
Mickey.
Midnight, the witching hour when the night is darkest, our fears the strongest, and our strength at its lowest ebb. Midnight, when the graves gape open and death strikes. How? You'll learn the answer in just a minute in The 13th Floor.
And now, Murder at Midnight. Tales of mystery and terror by radio's masters of the macabre. Our story by Winifred Wolfe is The 13th Floor.
Hotel corridors scare me late at night. They're too long and too creepy. I'm always afraid the walls, like big, flat plaster hands, are going to close in on me. I wish somebody was around. No, not anybody. Anybody might be Mickey. And his hands aren't made out of plastic. They're bone and they're blood. And they want to choke the breath out of me. I just better get down this corridor and close the door behind me. I'll lock it and hide under the covers till I turn on the radio and I hear that switch. It's pulled in a little room. And Nicky's dead, full of hot sparks and his big hands hanging like putty. Then I won't have to be afraid anymore. It's what happened tonight, just now. It's making the inside of me all curdled and sour and sick. Even if I live a million more days, I won't forget how I came into that lobby. Just like always. I walked over to the desk. Hi, Joe. What's a good word?
Here. Got a rent statement from the hotel. No letters.
Oh. Certainly it's hot out, isn't it? Sort of muggy and sticky. Think it's gonna rain?
Maybe.
You don't like me very much, do you?
No, not very much. You'll excuse me, I'm quite busy, Miss Owen.
Hey, you're a fresh little punk. I ought to tell the manager. It's a fine way to treat guests who pay their bills. Don't I always pay my rent on time?
Sure. Why not? $5,000 lasts a while if you take care of it.
Why, you. Hey, wait a second. Hold that elevator.
Sweet dreams, Miss Owen.
I said hold the elevator a second. What's the idea almost slamming it in my face?
Sorry, Miss Owen.
Yeah, I bet you are. Oh, Mr. Talbot. Evening.
Good evening.
Sure is hot out, wouldn't you say? I was saying to Joe, muggy and sticky.
Yeah.
I was, just at an awful good movie at the Franklin. Tomorrow night they're having Lana Turner. You like Lana Turner?
Very much.
Yeah, me too. A lot of women don't because they're jealous of the way she looks. Me, though, I got blonde hair myself. I was planning to see it tomorrow night. Do you plan to...
Sorry, Miss Owen. I have an appointment tomorrow evening.
Oh. You run the elevator, you fresh punk. That's what you're hired for.
Oh, by the way.
Me?
No, Tommy.
Oh, yes, sir.
Will you let me in with your pass key? I forgot mine.
Yeah, sure thing, Mr. Talbot.
Car stopped and I got out. I was glad to get out.
Your floor.
Yeah, thanks for nothing. That's when it began, right there. The light from the elevator looked like a lot of lemonade, only being poured the wrong way, up instead of down. Hey, I remember thinking that. Funny to remember it now. I looked at my watch. It was 2 minutes to midnight. I started down the hall. I'm feeling something's wrong. Don't be to get the jitters for nothing. Everything looked the same. Nothing was any different. My room was at the end of the hall. I took my key out and shoved it in the lock. Couldn't open. I kept twisting it and pushing it against it with my knee. Then, all of a sudden, I looked up and realized what was wrong. The number on the door was 1307, not 1407. I was on the wrong floor. That was it. That rotten little kid. I'll fix him. I was ready to bet he'd done it on purpose. Then...
Give Nicky a kiss, baby. Aren't you glad to see me? Come on in. I've been waiting for you a long time. I said come in. I'm getting a draft.
Nicky, let go of my arm. You're hurting me.
Sorry, baby. Maybe I don't know my own strength, huh?
What do you want? How'd you get in here?
One thing at a time. Don't rush me.
What'd you lock the door for?
I don't like interruptions. You never used to either when you were alone with me. Remember, Kitty?
I don't remember nothing.
Yeah, I know. You got a memory like a faucet. You turn it off and on, off and on. Wonderful. Take me, for instance. I have the kind of a memory you can't turn off. Keeps running all the time. The longer it runs, the hotter it gets. So hot now, Kitty, it'll scald you.
Look, Nicky.
I am looking. It's still a nice-looking number, you know. I always did like the way your waist curves and how white your neck is.
You didn't come here to tell me how I look.
Toss your hair over your shoulder like it gets me away. Go ahead, Kitty. Toss your hair back for Nicky.
What are you trying to do, dangle me on a string?
You're still a good-looking number. I don't look so hot, though, do I? You think maybe I lost a little weight?
Look, Nicky,
My
please.
face looks
let me...
kind of pasty. That's because you don't get much chance for fresh air sweating what's left of time away in a death cell.
If I scream, the police will come and get you. If you come near me, I'll...
You won't scream.
No, come one step closer now.
You won't scream because there's not that much sound left in you. It's all frozen and sticking in your throat like an ice cube. Because you're afraid. You're afraid of me. Try screaming, Kitty. You see? What'd I tell you?
Nicky, I can help you. I can hide you here so they won't find you. Then I can help you get away, Nicky. Anywhere you want, I promise.
I asked you before to kiss me. You still haven't, you know.
No, don't come near me, please.
You used to like it. You never used to wait for me to
Yeah.
ask you.
Nicky, don't. No.
Sometimes you used to come over to me without me asking. Oh, what's the matter? Do I look as bad as all that? Oh, you afraid I'll get your pretty dress dirty?
But you gotta give me a chance. I can explain.
I know I'm not clean. You know, I crawled for half a mile in the mud until I couldn't hear the dogs chasing me anymore. If I'd known you were going to act like this, I would have said...
You gotta give me a
I would
break.
have said, Warden, call me a taxi. A nice, clean taxi so I can go see my girl, Kitty Owen. A cheap little squealer who sold me down the river for 5 G's. 5,000 lousy bucks.
Hands off me.
Oh, I like to hold your face like this. Such a little face. Such big eyes. Big green eyes like a small tiger. Kitty, kitty. Like a cat. A sly, sneaky cat with long blonde hair. Don't you remember how I used to kiss you on the face?
Look at it.
On the face? What's your face?
Okay.
You act like you do remember.
You remember, too, don't you? You remember how it used to be with us, Nicky? Feel my hair the way you used to. Go on, you like to do it. You said it was soft like silk. Feel my hair, Nicky. You're not mad at me, are you? I said I was sorry. I went crazy. I didn't know what I was doing. I help you now, Nicky. Come on, run your fingers through my hair.
You lousy little tramp. Don't make me laugh. You crying, huh? Cat crying crocodile tears. Are you crying because you're sorry for me? You're sorry because sooner or later the cops will catch up with me and drag me back and I'll burn to a crisp in a chair, huh? Or you're crying because you know what I'm going to do to you?
Remember how it used to be with us, Nicky?
I know when I broke out they'd find me, but I wanted to say goodbye to you first. I wanted to kiss you. See if it still did the same things to me. I'll tell you something, Kitty. You leave me cold.
That knife. What are you going to do with that knife?
I'm going to cut you open and see if you've got a heart. I don't believe you have. I just want to prove how come a body can walk around without a heart.
No.
Just arms and legs stuck together with nothing to make them run.
I'll get you through this.
Yeah. What are they going to do? Electrocute me first, then take me out and hang me? What's the difference?
I'll tell you, Nicky, how it was. Just let me tell you. After you held up that jewelry store and the old dame was killed, when they put up the $5,000, I went crazy.
Yeah?
Honest, Nicky, I must have been clear out of my head. I've been sorry ever since, but I figured the cops would get you for it anyway. And then I'd be left with nothing. I didn't have a cent.
So you didn't wait. You turned me in yourself.
But I didn't know what I was doing.
I know what I'm doing. I'm going to kill you, Kitty Owen.
It won't help any.
It'll help me.
Stay away from me.
The only prayer sandwich should be good for a laugh.
No, please.
Kitty, 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 like a cat.
No.
Yes, Kitty, yes. I'm going to kill you.
Following me slow like that, he didn't notice when I backed up to the table, picked up the vase. And after I hit him, he didn't know it then either. Just went down looking surprised. I knew he wouldn't be out long, so I bent over and took the key out of his pocket. He moved and made a funny little noise through his lips. Then I stopped breathing altogether. I was free. The hall was empty, no one around. I started to run down the narrow little corridor of the 13th floor. I pressed the elevator button, and I waited. Help, that was the only way I could get it. It seemed like hours instead of seconds. Finally, I heard it coming. I felt like I was standing on hot coals. My insides wouldn't stand still. hand to the clock above the elevator, climbed slowly from 5 to 6 and to 7. I was going crazy to stand in there. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And my heart exploded. My legs were soft, sticky pieces of dough, hardly able to hold my body up. The elevator had stopped at 12, and then went on to 14. 14! Then I remembered it wasn't going to stop. It couldn't stop. Because in this building, there wasn't any 13th floor.
A man from the death house, and the girl who betrayed him, playing cat and mouse on a floor that doesn't exist. The hand of the elevator indicator did not stop at 13, but the hand of the watch on Kitty's wrist had stopped at 12. All ready for murder at midnight. And now, back to Murder at Midnight and the 13th Floor.
13th floor. Yeah, that's where I was, a floor that didn't exist, so how could I get out? How could I get away? What was I going to do? I didn't understand. I didn't understand anything.
Pretty good little slugger, baby.
Nick.
You took so much trouble to unlock the door, you should have taken a little time to lock it again after you.
Don't come after me with that knife. Please, don't. I don't want to die.
You think I did?
Why don't you give me another chance?
What
Nicky?
chance did you give me?
Oh!
Wow. I didn't think you had that in you. Well, why doesn't somebody come, huh? Maybe it's because there isn't anybody besides us. Cozy, huh? Try it again. Go ahead. Try your own again. Maybe you'll have better luck.
He was leaning against the door halfway down the hall, just leaning there and watching me because he knew he had me cornered. I wasn't cornered. I turned and I ran the other way around the corner and down another hall. I didn't know if I'd really heard him running after me, if it was just the pounding in my head making a noise. I got to the end of the hall, then I stopped out of breath and looked behind. He wasn't there. No sign of him. I sucked in my breath so even that didn't make any sound. And I listened. I listened to nothing at all because it was so quiet. It was so awful quiet I could hear it. The wall I leaned against was big and flat and gray, and the corners jutted out into the hall like dead fingers. I looked to the right side of me, down the corridor. Like he wasn't there. So I turned my head. I looked at the hall, almost hoping in a way I'd see him and get it over with instead of this wait. I wasn't there either. I tried to squeeze my shoulder blades into the wall so I could hide, but it was hard and cold. It wouldn't move. Nicky, where are you? For the love of heaven, say something so I'll know where you are. We just keep standing here. I can't take it. Nicky, I'm sick. My stomach's sick. So am I. Just make some noise. Nicky, where are you? Found myself back at the elevator again. I knew he was around somewhere. Around one of those corners that were jutting out like dead fingers, waiting. The elevator was coming up again. The hand was up to 11. Had to stop. I pressed the button, threw all my weight against it. And it did. It did. The big door was sliding open, and I was safe.
Going up or down, Kitty Owen? I'll take you wherever you want to go.
Oh, not again. I can't stand.
I'll take you for a ride.
No, I won't go.
But didn't you ring me? I heard you ring. Come on. Get in. Just the two of us. We'll go for a ride. Only just one of us will come back. I said, get in.
All the time he was talking, I was backing away. And then all of a sudden I saw at a door with a bright red sign that said stairway down. My last chance, I almost leaped to it. I opened the door and I flew down the stairs. It wasn't easy with high heels, but even so the sound of it was like music. Sweet, hot music from a clarinet, because I knew they were taking me down. Faster. I fell a couple of times. I caught myself, I clinging to the bed. I was still there. So I kept running. Suddenly, there I was. I was out on the street again. Now I was really safe. There were always a lot of people on the streets. I didn't see any people, just a big policeman with a red face. Boy, he sure looked good to me. Hey, wait a minute.
Now, take it easy, miss. Don't get excited.
Hey, look, Nicky Carstairs, he's in that hotel. He's after me.
Carstairs?
Yeah.
Sure, and who you wanting the kids? It can't be.
Look, he's out, I tell you. I saw him. He wants to kill me.
But Nicky Carstairs is in the death cell. Don't you read the papers?
Say, I'll have you reported. What kind of a cop are you anyway?
What kind of a woman are you without a heart? Just arms and legs stuck together with nothing to make them go.
You're not a policeman. You're Nicky. You're still Nicky. You didn't look like Nicky a second ago. I don't understand.
What's the get-up? How do I look?
Nicky, please, no, not anymore.
I told you we were playing cops and robbers, and this time I'm the cop. And I'm still going to kill you, Kitty Owen.
It was no good. I had to run again. My last stronghold. My last hope, the hotel out here. If there was no one there, I just gave up. I was through. As I ran around the corner, I thought the war had ended all over again because there was confetti coming out of all the windows, so much of it. Falling. The sidewalks were beginning to look like it had been snowing for a long time. I ran over them like a cock. I ran with my eyes down and I could see the headlines. Nicky Carstairs in death house, prison break. No one had to tell me this. I ran into the lobby to find people, to tell them where he was. There was no one there either. Only Joe at the desk. Joe?
Oh, early that night, Miss Owen. Not quite midnight.
Look, Joe, I know you don't like me, but you gotta help me.
Reading the papers about Nicky Carstairs breaking out?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to
$5,000 should last you a little while if you take care of it.
Hey, Joe, he's here. He's in the hotel. He's chasing me.
That's a lot of money. $5,000.
Wants to kill me. You gotta help me.
Sweet dreams, Miss Owen.
He's here. Can't you understand? He's on the 13th floor.
There's no 13th floor in this
He's there. I tell you.
Sweet dreams, Miss Owen.
I know there wasn't any use arguing, and he wouldn't believe me. Even if he did, he wouldn't help me because he didn't like me.
Going up.
No one would believe me. There was only one thing left for me to do. Lock myself in my room on the 14th floor. Stay there until they caught Nicky. I leaned against the back of the car, crouched in a corner. My eyes closed because I was so tired. I was so tired. I kept thinking of a bed, a big white bed, three white sheets to crawl between. Every door was locked.
Sorry to have to bother you about that passport, Tommy. I just forgot to pick mine up at the desk.
It's like a glass of cold water had been thrown on top of me. I opened my eyes. That Talbot guy was in the car again. No. I can't steal. And he was talking about the pass key the way he had before. No, not before either. Because when I looked at my watch, it was still minute midnight. Then I suddenly knew. I was so weak with relief I wanted to cry. Yeah, I heard him say it. Sometimes you can see your whole life pass by in just a second. That lifetime I lived in the elevator, all in my head, was sandwiched in between a couple of floors. It never really happened. It was just that I'd been dreading for months coming back some night, finding Nicky there waiting for me. My mind had invented a 13th floor, when it never was there at all. And the cop and the newspapers that said Nicky was out. All part of it. That crazy half-dream. Of course he wasn't out. I told myself it was all part of it. I never got out of the elevator. I was there all the time. All the time.
Your floor, Miss Owen.
14?
Sure, 14. Ain't that your floor?
You sure this time, aren't you?
What are you talking about this time?
I mean, never mind. 1401. That was on the first door. I was on the right floor this time. I'm feeling better already. What a fool I'd been. Started to walk down the hall. I had a feeling Talbot and the boy in the elevator was watching me. Wish they shut the door and go on.
Say, Mr. Talbot.
Yes?
Did you read about Nicky Carstairs?
No, what?
He escaped. Got out of the death house.
Is that so?
He's on the loose. Good night, Miss Owen.
Yeah. Hotel corridors scare me. They're too long and too creepy. I'm always afraid the walls, like big flat plaster hands, are going to close in. Now I know it was more than just dreading it for weeks. Made me imagine. Nicky was out and after me. Must have known it all along. Had a feeling I wasn't safe. I'm going to go to my own room. I'll lock the door and hide under the covers till I hear they found him. Took him back. Till I hear he's dead, I won't have to be afraid anymore. Not anymore.
Give Nicky a kiss, baby. Aren't you glad to see me?
14th floor this time. A floor that does exist. But the hands of the watch on Kitty's wrist still stand at 12 for...
Murder at midnight.
Remember to be with us again when the door marked Exit Only opens and the clocks strike 12 for...
Murder at midnight. The part of Kitty was played by Ann Shepard, and Paul Mann was Nicky. With music by Charles Paul, Murder at Midnight was directed by Anton M. Leader.
This, I believe. Lester B. Granger is the Executive Director of the National Urban League. He has done much to promote interracial cooperation in communities across the country. and to improve the racial policies of the nation's armed forces. A native of Virginia, he was educated at Dartmouth College and New York University. Here are the beliefs and values which guide Lester Granger in his work and life.
Recently, when I was introduced to an audience as a veteran social worker, I was a bit indignant until I remembered that for over 30 years I'd been working at my profession, or craft, depending upon one's opinion of social work, with 20 of those years spent in the service of the National Urban League. This realization set me to wondering why my profession has never palled on me, as has been the case with some of my colleagues according to their own confession. In finding what I believe is the true answer, I feel that I have armored myself against any future loss of freshness of spirit. It is not that I pin my faith upon either my profession or the agency that I serve, for these are only a means to an end. The end that engages my wholehearted conviction is the unreserved faith that I hold in the importance of what I'm doing. And that faith is in the function and destiny of the human race, as it contributes to the working of God's plan. I can't pretend even to guess at the exact shape of that plan. Only brash presumption would suggest a final meaning for a universal system that has been in the making for hundreds of millions of years, and may go on for hundreds of millions of years longer, or be broken off on any unannounced tomorrow. Man, whether the individual or the race, is such an absurdly tiny factor in this immensity of time and space. Important as we believe ourselves to be, and big as our world sometimes seems, we are literally nothing in the myriad of galaxies, the existence of which we are only beginning to realize. Put all of our lifetimes together, and these are less than the merest flicker of breath in a newborn chick that dies as its egg is broken. Why then such faith in man's function? Simply because I have no real reason for my existence. If I lack belief in some universal and logical plan, if I lack faith in God and His purpose, trees must grow and spread their foliage to catch the sun, or they die. Animals must protect their young and perpetuate their kind. In the same way, men must develop those qualities that make us unique in all the world if we are to justify our part in the universal system. And this I believe utterly, without reservation. I've come to believe it partly from the instructions that I received from my parents, and partly from my experiences at my work and in dealing with other people. In greatest part, however, I've come to believe in this function and destiny of man because I've had to do so, or die spiritually. And this fundamental faith, therefore, requires me to believe in the dignity and equality of the human spirit, and therefore in a free personality. It naturally follows that I believe in an afterlife, that afterlife which we create for ourselves in handling our responsibilities toward ourselves and others. To me, the afterlife is just as much here on earth, in the future of my community, as it is in what may happen to the spiritual me after my physical death. And I believe also in the reality of evil as a force to be attacked and defeated, not once and for all, but constantly, again and again, every day of my life. So every day is a new challenge for me. Every job assignment is a testing of my mettle, and my profession and my organization become weapons to be used against the enemy, evil, for the defense of tomorrow's community and the dignity and freedom of my fellow man today.
That was Lester B. Granger, who is the Executive Director of the National Urban League.
Old Dutch Cleanser, famous for chasing dirt, presents Nick Carter, famous for chasing crime. Every week at this time, two great names are joined as Old Dutch Cleanser brings you one of the most resourceful and daring characters in all detective fiction, Nick Carter, Master Detective.
Nick, I don't understand this. Why do I have to get dressed up like a bobby soxer and meet you in front of this candy store? Hey, are you going to buy me a soda, huh?
No, Patsy. You're going to sell magazine subscriptions.
Sell magazines? Why?
To find a pair of killers.
Ladies, in case you missed last week's broadcast, here's the news again. Old Dutch Cleanser's popular silverware offer is back. Now you can get 4 beautiful William A. Rogers A1 Plus quality teaspoons made and guaranteed by Oneida Limited in the lovely Croydon pattern. These teaspoons are pure silver plate, reinforced at wear points, and have a retail value of $4 a dozen. But you can get 4 of them for just 60 cents and the windmill pictures from 2 Old Dutch labels. And then along with your William A. Rogers teaspoons, you'll get an illustrated folder telling how to build a complete silver service for your table, all at a marvelous bargain price. So send for your teaspoons now. Order as many units of 4 as you wish. Just be sure to enclose 2 windmill pictures and 60 cents in coin for each unit ordered. Mail with your name and address to Old Dutch Cleanser, Box U, Chicago 90, Illinois. That's Old Dutch Cleanser, Box U, Chicago 90, Illinois. Price is subject to change without notice. And now, the case of the sunken dollar. Today's adventure with Nick Carter, brought to you by Old Dutch Cleanser. At 5 o'clock Monday afternoon, a heavy-set man and a pretty red-headed girl walk down the twisted streets near Maiden Lane and enter the musty shop of Jason Grange, one of the biggest coin dealers in the East.
Mr. Grange? Mr. Grange, y'all here in the store?
Just 1 minute, please. Just 1 minute.
It's okay. We're the only ones here.
You clients give me a pain, that's what you do. A big stiff pain. Always coming in at closing time. Never give a man a chance to have dinner. Now, what is it, please? What is it?
Isn't it the most cunning man in the whole world?
Huh?
I declare, Daddy told me you were cute, but I never dreamed the famous Mr. Grange would be like this. I got half a mind to give you a great old hug and a kiss.
No, miss, please.
I'm Sally Ann Mason. You can call me Sally.
Mason? You're related to Colonel Mason of Memphis?
I'm his daughter, Mr. Grange.
Great collector, Colonel Mason. One of the best. So you're his daughter. Well. What are you doing in town?
Daddy sent me up to buy a coin from you, Mr. Grange.
He did, eh? Well, think of that.
He wants to buy the 1804 silver dollar.
Well, I never thought he'd get around to it. Price is $10,000, you know.
Yes. I brought the cash with me.
Cash?
Yes. And this is Mr. Brown from the bank. He was sweet enough to chaperone me around the city. Show Mr. Grange the money, Mr. Brown.
Got it right here, Mr. Grange, in 500s. But if you don't mind, I've got the responsibility for this little girl. Could I ask why the coin she's buying is supposed to be worth $10,000?
Ah, you're interested, eh? Of course. Oh, wait, I'll take it out of the safe. You can see for yourself.
Good.
In the year 1804, 19,000 silver dollars were minted, but only 3 are in existence today.
Oh, how's that?
Well, the reason is that the coins were shipped north by boat from the mint. The boat was lost at sea.
Oh, that's
that
so.
makes the 1804 dollar one of the rarest American coins. And here it is.
I declare. Isn't it just too cunning for words? Okay, Louis.
Sure, Hazel.
What's this?
Well, Matty, I hope this is really urgent. You've interrupted 3 reports and a lab analysis with your hurry-up call.
Not to mention making me miss my dinner.
Nick, this is really a mess. Murder with assorted trimming.
Oh?
Yeah. This is the body of Jason Grange, coin collector and dealer. Murdered about an hour ago. 3 bullets, dead center through the heart.
I see.
Well, what are the trimmings?
In the first place, Grange was shot with the craziest-looking bullets I ever saw.
Huh?
A medical examiner just extracted them. Here, take a look.
Conical slug with the point squared off.
Yeah, you know what it is?
Sure. The square-pointed 9mm Luger bullet, Matty. It's unusual in this country. What else?
Well, whoever murdered Jason Grange stole only 1 single coin.
What coin?
An antique silver dollar dated 1804, worth $10,000.
Oh, yes, the famous lost dollar. Most of them are supposed to have been lost by shipwreck. But how do you know the dollar was the only thing stolen, Matty?
Oh, we checked on that. Checked his stock against his inventory. The only thing we could find missing was that sunken dollar.
Sounds logical.
Mm-hmm. And here's another trimming. Before Grange died, he scrawled the numbers 1804 in blood on the floor. You see it?
Oh, yes.
Gets curiouser and curiouser.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Yep, and this'll kill you. Under the counter, we found the corner of a $500 bill. Looks like it was torn off accidentally. Here.
This is very interesting. Happen to notice that the engraving is rather fuzzy, Matty?
You got quick eyes, Nick. Took me 10 minutes before I noticed.
What are you two talking about?
This is a piece of counterfeit money, Bessie.
Well, Nick, let's see you put it together.
Why did the killer only steal the $18.4 when he could have taken a fortune in money and rare coins? And how come the counterfeit 500?
There's just one answer, Matty. It was murder for advertisement.
Murder for what?
The killer or killers deliberately murdered Grange to advertise the theft of the $18.4.
Well, how do you figure that, Nick?
Well, in the first place, Grange didn't write 18.4 in blood. The killer did.
What?
Grange was killed with 3 bullets through the heart. He must have died instantly.
Oh.
He couldn't have written that date.
Why, sure. That's right.
The killer wants the world to know that the $18.4 was stolen. Why?
So he can sell it.
No, I don't think so. Don't overlook the counterfeit money, Patsy.
Well, what's that got to do with it?
The killer probably got Grange to show him the dollar by flashing phony money and pretending to be interested in buying.
But why?
If the killer can counterfeit modern money, he certainly can counterfeit an $18.4.
Holy smoke, Nick. You think he's going to counterfeit a whole pack of these sunken dollars?
I do. And with a theft well advertised, he can sell dozens at $10,000 each, pretending each one is the original stolen dollar.
Then what do? We got nothing to go on.
Oh, Matty, you've got plenty. That Luger bullet is a rare bullet. There aren't many dealers in this city who carry it.
Well, you're right, Nick.
Then get your squad out. Check every dealer. Try to get a line on recent purchases.
Right. What about you?
I'm going back to the laboratory and do some research into the fine art of counterfeiting.
Nick?
Hmm?
Oh, it's past midnight. Aren't you ever going to quit?
I'm almost finished, Patsy.
What have you got?
Well, I've been through my counterfeiting samples about 20 times. I think I've eliminated all except 5 of them.
Oh, good.
Each of those 5 closely resembled the work on this note. Get our files on counterfeiters, will you?
Uh-huh. Ready.
First sample, Jerry Hall.
Jerry Hall. Jerry Hall, at present serving 20-year term in Atlanta.
That lets him out. Hal Moore.
Hal Moore. Dead. Killed in 45.
That gets us down to 3. Joe Mitchell.
Mitchell. Out on parole, working in Chicago.
Maybe Joe's gone back to the old racket. Larry Denby.
Alcatraz.
Peter Baker.
Baker. Ah, Peter Baker. At Lodge, this city, last known address, 28 East 2nd.
And it's between Pete Baker and Joe Mitchell.
Uh-huh.
All right, we'll check Joe later. Maybe he's still in Chicago. Right now, we'll run down to 28 East 2nd and see what we can...
Oh, phone. Nick Carter's office, Patsy Bowen speaking.
Patsy, this is Matty. Got a report for Nick.
Oh, just a minute. Nick, it's the sergeant.
Right. Yes, Matty?
Just finished the check on the Luger bullet, Nick. Only person who bought a 9mm slug in the past 6 months is a woman.
A woman?
Yeah. She bought it last week. Couldn't get anything much in the way of a description. She's a pretty redhead, that's all.
Huh. All right, Matty, thanks. Maybe I'll have something to report to you in an hour or so.
Yes, such as what?
I'll know as soon as I've spoken to Pete Baker.
What time is it, Louie? Louie, put down that magazine.
Huh? What'd you say?
What time is it?
1 o'clock.
Hey, Pete. Pete Baker.
Yeah?
How much longer, Grandpa?
Just a couple of minutes, Hazel.
Well, hurry it up.
You know, Hazel, you sound like a pretty cute kid when you put on that southern accent of yours.
Yeah? You mean you don't like me this way?
Oh, sure.
You better. Hey, Grandpa, I'm tired waiting.
All right. It's the first time I ever made molds for old-fashioned dough like this dollar. Yeah, you better do better with that than you did with them phony 500s we flashed on Grange. I thought the old boy was going to get wise. They were so bad.
You got a nerve. Talking like that's the best engraver and molder in the business.
Yeah, maybe
Okay. Just get those molds finished and
Just about finished now. Wait a minute. Aim to cast them silver dollars and sell them?
Yeah.
Worth much?
10 grand each, Grandpa. And it's safer than passing regular dough. If the guy that buys an $18.4 finds out it's a phony, he can't squawk. He's already bought stolen goods.
That's pretty smart. There we are. Beauties, ain't they? Best job ever done.
Let's see.
Won't be able to tell a coin cast from this mold from the real thing.
Yeah, pretty good.
Okay, wrap them up, Louie. Now let's get out of here.
Just a minute, folks. $5 grand is the price for making them molds. You don't take them unless you get paid.
He wants to be paid. Pay him, Louie.
Okay, Hazel.
This is 2882nd, Patsy. Come on.
Oh, I feel as though I'm walking in my sleep.
Only a little after 1. We'll be finished soon.
Take a look at the sign on the door. It says this building's been condemned.
Yeah, so I see.
And we're out of luck, huh?
Not necessarily. Unfortunately, it's not unusual for people to have to live in a condemned building until it's actually torn down.
That's true. Certainly be an ideal place for a hideout.
Well, let's see if we can find it, anyway.
Golly, it's dark as pitch in here.
Get my flashlight out. There, it's better.
Oh, Nick, this place looks deserted.
Maybe. This apartment's certainly empty.
So's this one. Oh, this is a wild goose chase, Nick.
Wait, there are a couple of empty milk bottles outside that door down the hall.
Oh, they've probably been there for months.
Not so fast, Patsy. We can't afford to jump to conclusions. Let's take a look in that apartment anyway.
Okay. There's some furniture in here, Nick.
Oh, I see.
Nick, you smell that perfume? Somebody's been in here recently.
Yeah. The smell is too strong to be very old. Uh-oh.
Oh, Nick. Is that Peter Baker there on the floor?
Yes. And he's very dead.
In the glare of the flashlight, Keith Baker's body is outlined, sprawled on the cluttered floor. Swiftly, Nick inspects the dingy room. Having discovered Keith Baker's body on the floor of his room, Nick examines the dead man closely.
2 bullet wounds in the chest. Body still warm. Patsy, Baker was killed only a few minutes ago.
Nick, that perfume we smelled. Maybe the woman who wore that perfume killed him.
Possible. Wonder if there's anyone else living in this house who might have seen or heard anything.
Well, there's one way to find out, Nick.
Yeah, I'll see what I can find in here. While I do that, suppose you go through the building. Cover every apartment.
All right.
See if you can find anyone who heard shots about 5 minutes ago and what they did about it if they did.
Nick, I've been to every apartment in the building.
What did you find?
Nothing. They're all empty. You find anything?
I did. There was a woman in here with Baker. I found this long red hair.
Oh.
But I think there was a man with her.
Well, why do you think that?
Found the cigar butt under that chair. Probably where he sat. See all the cigar ashes on the floor there?
Yeah, but couldn't Baker have left it there?
No, I doubt that. Baker smoked a pipe. It's still there on the floor where he dropped it when he was shot.
Yeah. Nick, what do you think happened?
Baker must have been making a mold for them.
Uh-huh.
His blowtorch and crucibles and other apparatus are still warm.
Nick, could he have been making a mold of the $1804, do you suppose?
Very likely, the way this case ties together. And when he finished it, they killed him and then walked out.
Yeah. You through here now, Nick?
Yeah, I think so. We'll call Mary and go home and get some rest.
Okay, Nick. Here's the final report from the lab.
Fine, Matty. Let's have it.
Well, you figured it out just about right. There apparently was a man and a woman in the place with Baker, and she was a redhead. The chances are she's the same redhead who bought the Luger bullets.
By Jove, Matty. I've forgotten about that.
No, well, we got the man's prints, but the woman wore gloves.
Did you identify the man?
Yeah, we checked the prints he left on this magazine, Nick. He's Louis Larkin, hijacker, gunman, and all-round crook. 2 terms in the state pen. Here's his file photo.
Ah. That helps.
Yeah?
Hey, what's this slip of paper in the magazine, Matty? Something of yours?
Huh? No, just an ad the dealer must have stuck in before he sold it. Says if you want your newspapers forwarded to you while you're on vacation, leave your name at the store.
Matty? You say you found Larkin's prints on this magazine?
Yeah.
Look at the date line.
What?
This magazine was put on the stands only yesterday.
Yeah? How does that help?
Only see the name on this ad?
Oh, Rogers Candy Store, 100 Park Road. So what?
Oh, Matty, don't you see? That's the store this magazine came from.
Well, what was it doing in Baker's place then?
Hey, that's right. Park Road is way across town from where Baker lives.
Sure.
Maybe Baker didn't buy the magazine. Maybe Louis or the girl bought it.
Yeah. Maybe Louis and the girl are hiding out somewhere near this Rogers Candy Store.
That's what I was thinking. Well, if they are, Patsy and I will find them.
Louis?
Yeah.
Got the bags packed yet?
Just about finished, Hazel.
I've been going over the list of coin collectors, Louis. Got a nice schedule worked out.
Yeah?
We hit Chicago first. There are 3 collectors there. $10 grand each. Makes $30 grand.
Hey, swell.
in St. Louis, Cleveland, New Orleans, El Paso, L.A., Frisco, and Seattle. The way I figure it, we'll split $300,000. Easy.
Yeah, we sure should.
Pretty cheap for knocking off a couple of punks, huh?
You said it, Hazel.
You remember to get the plane tickets yesterday?
Oh, sure. They're on the dresser there in the envelope.
Right. Yeah, I gotta hand it to myself, Louis. It's a foolproof racket. Some of these collectors are crazy guys. If they're daffy enough, they don't mind buying rare coins, even when they know they're stolen.
What I like about it is that they gotta keep it secret because they're buying stolen goods. They gotta cover up for us.
It's foolproof, Louis. 100% foolproof. Hey.
What's the matter?
Come to the window, quick.
Well?
Down in the corner in front of the candy store.
Yeah.
See that tall guy standing there with magazines under his arm?
Yeah, I see him.
That's Nick Carte.
Nick Carter?
Yeah. Hurry up with that packing, Louis. Let's get out of here.
Yeah, I'll say.
Maybe Carter's around just by accident, or maybe he's on to us. Either way, we're taking no chances. Not for $300,000 and a murder rap, we ain't.
Over here, Patsy. Hurry up.
I got here as soon as I could, Nick. Do I look enough like a bobby soxer for you?
Oh, you look fine.
Well, I still don't understand. Why do I have to get dressed up like a bobby soxer and meet you here in front of Roger's candy store? Hey, you going to buy me a soda, huh?
No. You're going to sell magazine subscriptions.
I am?
Yes.
Why?
In order to find a pair of killers.
Okay, Nick, give with the plan.
Well, you remember, one of them left a magazine at Pete Baker's workshop, and I traced it to this candy store?
Yes.
The proprietor says he's sure the man who bought it lives in that house across the street. But he doesn't know who he is or in what apartment he lives.
And so I'm going to sell subscriptions from apartment to apartment until I find him.
Right. His name is Louis Larkin. Here's his picture.
No beauty, is he?
And there may be a red-headed girl with him. The one with the perfume.
I'll remember the perfume.
Now listen, Patsy, just find out where they're located. Don't try anything else. They're a little too dangerous to play with. Yeah?
Good morning, sir. I represent the Oil States magazine.
Wait a minute.
Well, that wasn't Louis Larkin.
And no perfume yet. Good morning, madam. I represent the Universal and which is helping me work my way through college by the sale of magazines in which I'm sure you won't be interested.
Well, why shouldn't I be interested in literature? Come on in, honey. Come here.
The Oil States Magazine Company publishes...
I thought you said Universal.
Huh? Oh, yes, I represent both. I tell you what. I left my subscription blanks down in my car.
Yeah.
Wait till I get down and get them.
Grab her, Louis. You're Nick Carter's girl, aren't you? Yeah, we saw you chewing a rag downstairs.
Hazel, Carter's up to us. He knows we bumped Baker and Grange, and he knows we're here.
You're not telling me anything.
Well, what do we do?
I'm thinking.
Okay, so while you're giving the think tank a workout, I'll take care of this. Take it easy, sister. All I do is pull the trigger, and you won't feel hardly nothing at all. Pleasant dreams.
Patsy struggled helplessly as Louis Larkin aims his Luger automatic at her heart. We'll see what happens in just a moment. Now, please listen carefully, for here's how to send in for the 4 lovely William A. Rogers A1 Plus Quality Teaspoons Old Dutch Cleanser is offering. Order as many units of 4 as you wish. Just be sure to enclose 2 windmill pictures from Old Dutch labels and 60 cents in coin for each unit ordered, and then mail with your name and address to Old Dutch Cleanser, Box U, Chicago 90, Illinois. That's Box U, Chicago 90, Illinois. And remember, besides the 4 lovely William A. Rogers teaspoons in the beautiful Croydon pattern, you'll receive an illustrated folder that tells how to build up a complete matching service at a sensationally low cost. So, ladies, don't delay. Send for your 4 teaspoons now. Remember, enclose 2 windmill pictures from Old Dutch labels and 60 cents in coin, and mail with your name and address to Old Dutch Cleanser, Box U, Chicago 90, Illinois. Price is subject to change without notice. Send now. And now for the conclusion of the case of the Sunken Dollar. Today's adventure with Nick Carter, brought to you by Old Dutch Cleanser. As Louis Larkin's finger tightens on the trigger of his automatic, and Patsy struggles helplessly, Hazel suddenly knocks the gun aside.
Cut it out, Louis. Everyone in the house would hear the shot. We wouldn't stand a chance.
You mean we'll let this dame go?
We'll take her with us. Don't want interference. Carter will be too busy looking for the girl to worry about us.
Maybe he won't.
And he'll be too busy worrying about the girl to make a move. She's like a hostage, Louis, get it?
Yeah.
While Carter's watching the front door, we're going out the back way. Take a cab to the station.
Well, what about the dame?
Stop worrying.
But we can't take...
Look, Louis, we've got a compartment on the train. And somewhere along the way, we'll push her out the window. With a bullet in her head.
Okay, Hazel, but I think you're nuts to do it.
Shut up, Louis. Let her go.
Now, look here, you...
You listen to me, sister. One false move and Louis lets you have it here and now, understand?
I understand.
We might as well burn for 3 murders as for 2.
There's a hack coming, Hazel. Hey, taxi! Taxi!
Get in, honey.
Okay.
The train terminal driver. And will you please close the glass partition? I'm awfully cold back here.
Terminal? Okay, lady. I'll close the glass.
Okay, we made it. Carter will wait for the girl to come out, maybe 10 minutes. Then he'll start looking.
Yeah, he won't find nothing. What a laugh.
We'll take the first train out.
Hey, maybe that don't go to Shy.
We can always get to Shy later. Maybe we'll start on the west coast for now, huh?
It's okay with me. The further from Carte, the better.
Look, I'll make a bet with you. $100 to 1 cent that you don't get away from Nick.
We've already got away, sister.
Is it a bet?
It's a bet.
Only trouble is you won't be around to collect even if you win.
Hey, where are we? What's he stopping for? This isn't anywhere near the terminal.
Step right out, lady. Let me help you with your bag.
Oh, we all don't want to get out here. I said the train terminal. This isn't the terminal.
You're crazy? What is this place?
Police headquarters, Louis.
What?
Don't move. Come on, Patsy, you get out first.
Okay, Nick.
Nick Carte?
Yes, Hazel. My name is Nick Carter. And I will just pile out of this cab, luggage, gun, molds, and all, and walk quietly into headquarters. Sergeant Matheson wants to talk to you about some assorted thefts and murders. All out, please.
Oh, before I forget, 1 cent, please, Hazel. I not only win the bet, I'm here to collect.
Oh, it was a beautiful job, Nick. Beautiful. But there's just one thing I don't figure.
What's that, Matty?
How in blazes did you know enough to get around to the back street and borrow that cab?
I have ears, haven't I? I heard Hazel and Louis making their plans.
Huh?
You heard them? How?
I was outside the apartment door. You don't think I'd let you walk into that murderer's den alone, do you? I was right behind you all the way.
You were right behind me?
Yes, Betsy.
Then why didn't you bust in and capture those 2 crooks right then and there?
Didn't want to take any chances on anyone in a crowded apartment house being hit by stray bullets.
But they might have killed me before they left.
Patsy, you may be sure that I waited until I knew they were going to take you with them before I did what I did.
What?
Say, that was quite an act. All state magazines, Universal magazines.
You didn't trust me to do it all by myself. You treat me just like a baby.
Now, Patsy.
I hate you, you mere man.
Now, Patsy, easy. You know, if it comes to that, how come you were so positive Nick would get Hazel and Louis? Oh, I heard all about the bet. $100 to 1 cent.
Oh, that.
Yeah, you were betting on a sure thing yourself now, weren't you? You knew Nick was the cab driver.
Well, I did not. I never recognized him.
Then how come the bet?
Because I knew I could trust Nick, which is more than he can say for me.
But, Patsy, if I hadn't followed you to protect you, I wouldn't have been able to win that bet for you.
Well, all right, you win. Heaven knows you always do.
Nick Carter, Master Detective, is presented each week at this time and over these same stations by the Carte Packing Company, makers of Old Dutch Cleanser. Remember, when you go shopping tomorrow, get the cleanser preferred by more women in America than any other. Old Dutch Cleanser. This is the Mutual Broadcasting.
This, I believe. Probably no decisions affect more vitally the lives of millions of young Americans than the decisions made daily by General Louis B. Hershey, the boss of the nation's military draft. Reassuringly enough, his forthright creed places him squarely on the side of human rather than material values.
I believe that the greatest frontier of our ignorance lies in the relationship of man to man. I do not discount the marvelous development in the world of things, nor do I devaluate the contributions of those who made these developments possible. Yet all these are but means, and unless we can learn to shape and to control them to ends that are constructive for the inhabitants of this earth, material miracles become not only futile, but worse. Worse because they provide more means of destruction. I believe the frontier of human relationship can be extended. It will not be easy to do so. Man must learn more about himself than he already knows. The human emotions and the meaning of human behavior present difficulties in measurement much greater than those encountered in learning to measure steel or gold. Perhaps the greatest impediment to the advancement of knowledge about us has been the fact that we have assumed we knew. The man who can predict accurately the smell or color of the vapor which arises when two substances are mixed excites his fellow citizens far more than one who tries to predict the result of the clash of two personalities. In the second phenomenon, we tend to solve by one of two methods. We dismiss as unpredictable prior to the clash, or afterwards we declare the result to have been inevitable and expected by everyone. In either case, we are denying our ignorance. We shall have overlooked one of the largest obstacles to a solution of man's favorable relationship with man when we know and acknowledge how little we know about ourselves. The step to follow our admission of ignorance is to seek the knowledge and understanding that we have concluded we do not have. This will be a long and difficult road, as long perhaps as from learning how to make fire to learning how to fission the atom. Man must turn his eyes and interests inward. He has already made more gadgets than he understands or knows how to control. He resembles a child after Christmas, unable to manage the strange and complicated machine toys that had challenged the interest of his parents. Our acceptance that we do not know and must seek to learn cannot wait. We have not the choice of the child. We cannot play with spools and leave the more complicated machines to our parents.
That was General Louis B. Hershey, National Director of Selective Service, who has seen his share of human crises and who knows the importance of good faith and understanding in meeting them.
NBC presents Frank Lovejoy in Night Beat.
Hi, this is Randy Stone. I cover the Night Beat for the Chicago Star. Only tonight it was too hot to cover anything, and I mean anything. It was too hot for wife killings, gangland murders, and such nonsense. Nobody had energy for much more than to wave a soggy newspaper back and forth in front of his face. And the standard reply to the standard question, what's cooking, was a dull me. Around 10 o'clock, with no story in sight, I checked in with the office, and the switchbird girl sounded like the last rose of last summer, but she managed to inform me that Mr. Baker, the night editor, wanted words with me. As she wearily connected me, I dug out my handkerchief and blotted the back of my neck.
Stone?
Yeah?
Climb in your old jalopy and take her right out to the insane asylum.
Have they got air conditioning?
No, I'm serious. There's a report that a half a dozen police cars are parked near the entrance. I called to check, but the switchboard doesn't answer. Beat it out there, Randy.
I headed for the outskirts of town, and soon I was approaching my destination. I guess the way the world's been spinning around, a lot of people are getting lost in the fog because this place was really big. Half a dozen huge buildings spread out across acres of green land and a mighty high fence running all the way around. But even while I was still blocks away, I knew something was wrong. Because though it was only around 10 o'clock, in all those buildings there wasn't one light burning. I drove up to the gate, and yet there were police cars, and the police sergeant with a red flashlight signaled me to a stop.
What's your business, cousin?
I'm a newspaper man, Randy Stone of the Star.
They're not buying any newspapers tonight. Got all the newspapers they need.
Oh, fine. Now you and your flashlight step aside, and I'll go on in.
No one goes in, no one goes out. Orders, cousin.
Now you get on that gate phone, cousin, and tell the superintendent the press is pounding at the walls. And if I don't get in, I'm going back to town and invent a story. When I start inventing, sometimes I just never stop.
Well, I
Go
don't...
ahead, cousin. When the Sarge hung up the phone, he swung open the gates and waved me in with his pretty red flashlight, saying that I was to go right on to the administration building. As I drove up the curved roadway, I saw little shafts of light moving through the darkness all over the place, but still no lights anyplace else. I parked in front of the administration building and was met by a man also carrying a flashlight.
That man, this is my name, a public relations officer.
Oh, what's going on here?
It's rather embarrassing, you know. I'm quite sure they'll find him any minute now.
Find who?
The superintendent thinks it would be best if you talk to Fogarty.
Oh.
This way. Right in here. The first aid room.
Easy, Doc, easy with the head.
This chap, having his head bandaged. Fogarty, this is Mr. Stone, a newspaper reporter.
But I thought...
Well, the superintendent feels it's pointless to try and hide the facts any longer.
Oh. They caught Captain Bob yet?
They expect to any moment.
I take it one of the inmates has escaped.
Oh, no, not really. He's still on the grounds. That's what we don't want. No alarming story about an escaped maniac.
Maniac, yeah. Hey, Doc, easy with a bandage.
Hard to work with just a flashlight.
Captain Bob, that kills me, absolutely kills me. He's the unofficial mayor of this place, a real veteran. Once he even applied for hash marks at service stores. And then to blow his top like this. Hey, easy, Doc, will you?
Almost finished.
A huge man with the mind of a child. A gentle giant, you might say. Gentle.
What caused the blow-up?
What caused it?
Yeah.
That's a reasonable question. We took away his brown sugar.
His which?
He kept it in his footlocker for his oatmeal. Well, they were afraid of roaches, you know, so they kept asking him to turn it in. Today they got tired of him ignoring them. So they sent me around for it. He was all by himself in a ward, this giant of a man, sitting on his bed in his gym shoes and his red bathrobe. Captain Bob. Captain Bob.
That was splendid. Wasn't that splendid, Fogarty?
Yeah, sure. Now listen.
You know, it's all in the diaphragm. It's right down here, the diaphragm, you see. Yeah, how many times did I tell him? Enrico, if you only breathed properly and forgot the chicken...
Open your footlocker, Captain.
And why?
The brown sugar. It's got to go.
Slow, gentle,
okay.
Sweet.
Okay, I'll open it myself.
Hold it. And down goes the lid. Goodbye, Mr. Fogarty.
Look, I got my orders. Stop that racket, will you? They gave me orders to take that sugar.
Repeat that slowly, Mr. Fogarty.
I said they gave me orders.
They gave you orders. They again. They know that brown sugar is the very essence of my power, so they must take it away from me.
Now, come on, Captain Bob.
How long ago was it that they decided I could no longer have my fine gold leaf tobacco plug? And wasn't it only last year that they made me shave my beard? Walt used to say to me, Walt Whitman, that is, sure, mine's a decent sort of beard, but yours, Captain Bob, why, yours is pure silk. And they made me shave it.
Cap, you're getting all excited. It's too hot to get excited.
Well, I've sat back. I've bided my time. I've waited, and now I wait no longer.
Cap,
hands
relax.
off of me, Fogarty.
Cap, sit down.
No.
Look, don't make me use the nightstick. I never used it yet. I never want to.
Yeah, but I want to. Now, give it to me.
Now, look out. Get away from me.
The nightstick.
No.
You must. Their hour is struck. Their hour is struck.
Their hour has struck. That's the last thing in the world I heard. Then I woke up down here. I understand he's really raised Cain, broke into the power station, banged up the generator. Captain Bob. It just don't figure.
Well, I don't suppose that one guy with a nightstick is going to do too much damage.
Well, it's not quite that simple.
No?
He took the nightstick and overpowered an armed guard. And now he has a gun.
Oh, fine.
And that's why we've gone to such great lengths to protect the place. I'll answer it.
This they that he speaks of, he must mean the authorities here. Is that it?
Oh, I don't think so. At least he hasn't tried to harm any of them. And with that gun, he could do a pretty good job.
Well, then, who is the they?
Your guess is as good as mine.
I see.
That was one of the guards. The superintendent saw your car and raised the roof.
Well, he told me I could come in.
Yes, but not the car. He wants nothing on the grounds that could possibly be used by Captain Bob for an escape. He wants you to remove the car immediately. You can park it in the parking area, outside the wall.
I went on out and started driving back down the road to the gate. The little groups with flashlights were still scattered all about hunting for Captain Bob. But who was Captain Bob hunting for? My friend, the police sergeant, was still at the gate with his little red flashlight, again signaling me to stop.
You again, cousin?
Yeah, I'm just going to park the car, be right back.
What's that supposed to be? Good news? Well, go on.
I passed the squad car, scattered all over the place. The parking area was just ahead, and I started turning into it. I suddenly felt a metallic pressure on my neck, the barrel of a gun.
Just keep going down the highway, my boy, and everything will be Jim Dandy.
I could see him in the rear view mirror, bright eyes under shaggy gray brows, a bald head and a full pink face, and even bigger than they had described him. Yes, I had myself a first-class passenger, the one and only Captain Bob.
So isn't it a mortal sin the way old Captain Bob twisted him all around his little finger?
Huh?
Yeah, mental power. You know, 10 ounces of brain tissue can move mountains, dry oceans, fill the sky with fire.
Yeah, 10 ounces, sure, but me, I'm stuck with about half a gram falling for a gag like that. Where'd you call from?
One of the other offices, keeping my voice very low, very official. The superintendent insists that the car be moved at once. I used to say to Ellen, the famous actress Ellen Drew, you know.
Uh-huh.
Ellen, you must always remember, live the part. If you're supposed to be an oyster stew, then become an oyster stew. Make it so real that people get heartburn. Captain Bob, she would reply in that sweet, gentle voice, what would I do without you?
Well, that's very interesting. Now that you've outsmarted all the guards, what's the next step?
To ruthlessly hunt down and exterminate humanity's greatest enemy.
Which is who?
Well, they.
They?
Well, who else? Those scavengers, those ravagers. I really don't care about myself. I've lived my years. I'm an old man. Heavy with honor and with time. Aristophanes.
Uh-huh.
Of course, you know I'm quite insane.
No.
Oh, yes. So it doesn't matter about me. See others. Oh, what they have done to poor suffering humanity. I've heard the talk. Oh, yes, surely I have. You know, of course, I can hear quite distinctly for a distance of some 2,300 miles.
Really?
Oh, certainly, with the proper atmospheric conditions.
Ah.
And very often, late at night, I lie there in my bed listening to the people talking in, San Francisco and Houston and Memphis and Upper New York State and such places.
Uh-huh.
And what do I hear? They are causing prices to rise sky high. They buy more than they need. They hoard in their basements. They patronize the black market. They are so selfish, so thoughtless, they may bring on inflation and wipe out the savings and pensions of millions of innocent people. That's what I hear.
I see.
And this I hear. They certainly elect some shabby politicians. But what can you expect? Most of the time, they don't even bother to vote. If they don't use some judgment, they'll wreck the country. They again, you see that?
Yes, I see it.
Yes, and I hear talk about war, too. They fell asleep again. If they don't wake up and prepare, civilization itself will go under, and they'll be to blame. They do this and they do that. All the evil and suffering in the world, they are responsible for. They. Well, then isn't it all rather simple? Old Captain Bob's going to do the world one final service. He's going to find these they and shoot them down like dogs.
That sounds like a reasonable idea.
Yes, of course. Of course. I saw your sign on your license plate. You're a newspaper man.
Uh-huh.
Well, then you must know where they live. You'll be able to bring me to them, huh?
Well, I suppose so, but it might take a long time, Cap.
Oh, you better not take any longer than from now till 7 o'clock tomorrow morning.
Why?
Well, I have to be back at the asylum by then for breakfast.
I see.
Mrs. Turner, the cook, she takes great pains preparing the oatmeal to my complete satisfaction.
Oh, well, in that case.
Why are you turning the car around?
Well, that's all the time we got. Let's call it off for tonight and get an early start tomorrow evening, say around 6.
I see. Now you've decided to trick Captain Bob.
No, not at all. But if you're expected for breakfast...
Pull over to the curb.
I'm not trying to trick you.
At the present angle of my gun, the bullet should enter your skull at the basal juncture. You will lose consciousness within 1 second, be dead within 3.
Okay. You talked me into it.
All right, now turn off the engine.
Yeah.
Oh, it was a mistake to tell you I was insane. Now you think I'm a harmless old fool, don't you?
Not at all.
Oh, of course you do, but I'm not harmless, Sarah. I need your help, so I suppose I must convince you that I'll not hesitate to use this gun if you force me.
I believe you.
Oh, no, of course you don't. A strange weapon, is it not? A chunk of ore twisted into a vulgar shape, yet it's made man supreme.
Oh, now, come on, put down the gun, Captain. Shooting me won't help you.
Who said anything about you, my boy? Observe.
But pointing it at your hand. Don't. Well, you've torn away half your finger.
That's all right. I have others.
Let me use this handkerchief as a tourniquet.
No trickery.
No
now.
trickery. Now, come on, here. Okay. Now, I've got to pull it tight. All right now. That's better. What a thing to do.
Now, you understand how serious I am about this.
Yeah.
Obviously, if I can use the gun on myself, I wouldn't hesitate to use the gun on you. If I felt you were trying to fool me.
Obviously.
So take me into the city. And let's hunt the rascals down.
Yeah.
One thing more, sir.
Yeah?
There can be trickery by omission. If you think you can drive me around in meaningless circles, well, let me hasten to assure you that if we haven't found them by breakfast, well, then I know you fool me. And I will kill you.
NBC is bringing you Night Beat, starring Frank Lovejoy as Randy Stone. It's the Silver Jubilee on NBC. Tonight, your dial is set for adventure with Inspector Thorne and Mr. Keene, tracer of lost persons. This evening, actor Carl Weber comes to the NBC microphone as the fast-moving police investigator known as Inspector Thorne. Then later, Mr. Keene, tracer of lost persons, brings you the hard-hitting story of the poisoned sandwich murder case. And now back to Night Beat and Randy Stone.
It was after 1 o'clock, and I was driving through the Chicago streets, block after deserted block. The neon that never went to sleep, still shouting its multicolored messages to empty sidewalks. And past long rows of warehouses, wearily leaning one against the other, and through narrow cobblestone streets. Driving purposefully like I had nothing but jumbo-sized plans, while actually I didn't even have a small pocket-sized idea. And Captain Bob in the back seat with his gun, growing more impatient all the time. And now it was almost 2 a.m. And in my mind's eye, I saw the good cook, what's-her-name, sleeping soundly and just a few hours away from starting the captain's oatmeal. And now we were getting close to the loop. I turned off Ashland Avenue to cross the bridge spanning the Chicago River. And at the other side of the bridge, I saw a most wonderful sight. 2 police cars blocking the way, their red warning lights blinking angrily.
Turn around quickly, my boy.
And suddenly in the rear view mirror, I saw still another police car swing in behind us. We were caught on the bridge, trapped like a butterfly on a half-dozen spears of light. Well, now what, Captain Bob?
I'm turning the matter over in my mind.
That you, Stone?
Right.
All right. Close in slowly, men.
Mr. Stone, tell them how comfortable this gun feels against your head.
Yeah. Lieutenant, take it easy. Captain Bob has sort of got me covered.
Captain Bob, can you hear me?
Can I hear him? I've heard Brisbane, Australia on a very calm night. Can I hear him?
You hear me, Captain Bob?
He hears you, but he's not impressed. Cap, what do you want them to do?
Clear off the bridge so we can get on with our chore. It's getting late.
Look, Cap, I'm going to be frank with you. And if you want to pull the trigger, well, my insurance is paid up.
Oh, what is it, my boy?
I don't have any idea where they may be. Oh, it's true. But you take the lieutenant now, it's his job to know those things. I bet he could tell us where they are just like that.
All right. Call him over and ask him.
No. We can't do it that way. If he knows that you want to find out about they just to kill them, why, he'll never tell us.
Well, why not, for goodness sake?
Well, he just won't. He's a funny guy.
So?
Well, so let me go over and talk to him. You know, con him around, wheedle it out of him.
You think you can, my boy?
Yes, I think so. I've known him for many years. He's not very bright.
Oh, I could tell that from his voice. He does all his talking from his jowls.
So I'll go over and ask him, huh?
You wouldn't be fooling an old man with a sore finger.
Scout's honor, Captain.
All right, call that young policeman over there, the one that's leaning on the fender of the squad car.
Oh, him? Oh, him. He's an old cousin of mine.
Yeah, call him over if you want to talk to the lieutenant.
All right. Hey, Sarge.
Me?
Yeah, come on over.
Are you nuts or something?
Send him over, Lieutenant.
Sergeant, go on. Cousin, the minute I saw you tonight, I knew I'd have been better off with typhoid.
Both of us.
Now, I tell you what I'd like for you to do, young man. You Just lean your head in through the window.
What is this?
Do what he says. I've got to go talk to the lieutenant.
Now we take the gun from Mr. Stone's head and place it against yours.
Hey.
All right, Mr. Stone, go to your conference. The dashboard clock says 7 minutes after 2. If you have not returned by 10 minutes after 2, this unfortunate young man will meet with sudden disaster.
Stone, I don't like this.
No one could blame you, cousin. I started walking across the bridge to the lieutenant's patrol car. A long string of coal barges were slithering slowly by on the greasy waters far below. Now, whatever unknown radar wakens people out of a sound sleep and sends them running to disaster was already at work. Both ends of the bridge were lined with the curious, and most of the police officers were busy keeping them at a distance. Lieutenant Boyle stood beside his squad car. Lieutenant, tell me, how did you find out that he was with me?
Sergeant, after you left to park your car and didn't come back, he started wondering. Checked and found it'd been a phony call. It added up. We've been trying to corner you all night. What are you going to do with that character?
Well, we've got one problem, and it's how to make him use up those bullets in his gun.
Yeah.
Well, now, look, I got a crazy thought. It might work. If it doesn't, well, it's my funeral, and as the little joke goes, that's not a figure of speech.
All right, what is it?
You know where the Riverview is?
Yeah, that amusement park on the west side?
Yeah.
What are we going to do, ride the merry-go-round?
Everything is closed up this time of the night, but see if you can get him to cooperate with you. Captain Bob is looking for something he calls they. Don't ask me to go into that. There's no time. But if we work this...
Welcome back, my boy.
Yeah.
I was telling this lad here that those barges reminded me of my river days on the Mississippi. He seemed distinctly uninterested.
I can't imagine why.
All right, now point the gun at him.
Yeah, right in the old basal junction. That's it.
Cousin, I was really sweating you out.
Believe me, I was tempted to start walking.
Yeah. Well, goodbye now.
Did you get the information, my boy?
Well, you know something? You ought to circle this date with a red pencil, Cap.
What?
This is your lucky night.
Oh?
They are all together under one roof.
What?
Having a meeting.
Oh, doubtlessly plotting some new devilment.
Sure, but I know exactly where they are.
Oh, this is grand news. Well, the police are leaving.
Well, sure. I told them you were going to go back to the institution like a good, solid citizen.
And so I shall, when I'm finished. But now, to the task ahead.
Yeah, to the task ahead. It was 2:45 a.m. when we pulled up before the darkened amusement park. The Ferris wheels silhouetted against the dark sky and the empty seats creaking just a little as though worn out from generations of screaming children. The towering wooden structure of the super bobs, dipping and rising gracefully in the night. And the fun house and the merry-go-round and the tunnel of love all sealed up. A wilderness of potential joy, but now very quiet and painfully lonely. An amusement park where no one was being amused. We walked down the boardwalk, Captain Bob gun in hand, and Randy Stone heart in mouth.
A strange place for they to be meeting, my boy.
Well, wouldn't they pick such a place knowing that no one would ever think of looking for them here?
Well, of course. Oh, the treachery of them.
It's just ahead now. That little building, there.
Yes. Oh, the dream of a lifetime reaching fruition.
It's all boarded up, but you can see the lights gleaming through the cracks.
Yes.
Now, here's what you've got to remember, Cap.
Huh?
There'll be many, many of them. They're all armed and they're on guard.
I do not fear.
No, but you want to get as many as you can.
Oh, yes, indeed.
Okay, now keep your voice down. Now, you've got to start shooting the instant you go through that door and keep shooting as fast as you can.
Yes.
That is, if you can shoot fast.
Well, Trust me, you will not be able to separate the sound of the shots.
All right. Good luck.
My boy, thank you. Will you shake my hand?
Of course.
You've been a loyal ally. The time will come when children will sing folk songs in your honor. Your statue will stand in public parks.
Yeah. Now, look, I'm going to tear open the door and you rush in and start shooting.
Yes.
Ready, set, go. After that, things happened rapidly. The park, which had seemed so empty now, suddenly filled with police all running toward me. And behind them came the swarms of citizens again, coming in all directions, attracted by the shots.
Good work, Stone. Get the door open, boys. Bring them out.
Through the open door, I looked in on the House of Mirrors. Most of the mirrors were shattered now, just bits of glass hanging from the walls. And Captain Bob, the empty gun, hanging limply in his hand, still looking at the wreckage, dazedly realizing at last that he'd been shooting at his own reflections.
Come on, old-timer, let's get going.
Easy with him, boy.
Yeah.
That's it, easy.
And now the entrance to the House of Mirrors was jammed with people craning their necks for a look.
Step aside. Give us room. Come on.
Move aside, folks. It's all over. Go on home. Come on now, one side.
And while the police tried to clear a path through the crowd, for a moment or so, Captain Bob and I stood face to face.
So you tricked me after all, my boy. It's a cruel blow. Captain Bob didn't expect that of you.
Come on, all of you. Move when I tell you. One side. Come on.
Okay, Cap. Let's go.
You tricked me. You shouldn't have done that to me, my boy. You just don't understand.
And then he was gone. He was back home in plenty of time for his oatmeal, without brown sugar. But even after they took old Captain Bob away, somehow the people still hung around the doorway of the House of Mirrors just in case there might be something else to see. Their faces reflected endlessly in the broken mirrors. All kinds of faces. Fat, lean, bright, dull, high, and cheekbones, low cheekbones, square chins, no chins, white faces, black faces, endless faces. Millions of faces reflected again and again and again in the mirrors. And gradually it dawned on me that perhaps I hadn't tricked Captain Bob after all. I guess I had brought him to the right place. Because, of course, there's no big mystery about it. These were the they, all right. That's us, all of us. But if they are responsible for the bad, they are also responsible for the good. Actually, when you got right down to it, to end all the injustices that so angered Captain Bob, they need learn only one thing more, that they are the children of God, and that each of them is his brother's keeper. Oh, what a night. One copy boy, one ice bag, and 2 aspirins, huh?
Night Beat, starring Frank Lovejoy, is produced and directed by Warren Lewis. Tonight's story was written by Larry Marcus with music by Robert Armbruster. The part of Cap was played by Bill Conrad. Others in tonight's cast were Paul Dubove, Howard McNear, Frank Gersel, and Jeff Corey. Frank Lovejoy can currently be seen starring in Warner Brothers' Force of Arms. Listen next week at this time and every week as Randy Stone searches through the city for the strange stories waiting for him in the darkness. It's the Silver Jubilee on NBC. There's plenty of fun in store for you tomorrow night with Inside Bob and Ray. Bob Elliott and Ray Goulding, the newest comedy team in radio, bring you the light satire and nonsense sketches designed to display their many vocal impressions and impersonations. Hear Inside Bob and Ray Saturday evening for one full, fun-filled hour on NBC. Join Inspector Thorne next on NBC.
This, I believe. Louis Cotlow is by profession an insurance man. However, he is better known as an explorer and photographer, whose insatiable curiosity and interest in people started him on his world travels at the age of 21. As a result of his exciting explorations in Africa, he co-produced Savage Splendor, a full-length Technicolor documentary. While in South America, he filmed Jungle Headhunters. He is also the author of Passport to Adventure and Amazon Headhunters. Here now is Louis Cotlow.
I have spent many years of my life traveling, on and off the beaten track. Some people have asked me, what are you running away from? Well, I'm not running away from anything. I am, in fact, a comparatively contented person. I enjoy my work as an insurance man. I like my home and my friends immensely. The reason for my wandering to so many far places is closely bound up with my basic beliefs. I am interested in people, all kinds of people. I believe in human nature. At the core of every person there is something good, and in most cases that goodness is not hard to find if I believe in it and look for it. It is reassuring, heartwarming, and spiritually rewarding to find the same qualities of goodness in people everywhere, not just among my business associates and my friends at the club, but also among pygmies in Africa and headhunters in South America. There is evil everywhere, too, I guess. Cruelty, selfishness, dishonesty. But I believe these characteristics are more superficial than the good qualities of human beings. The good things in people go deeper, last longer. They are the qualities that come to the fore when the chips are really down. Every exploration I make reaffirms this truth to me. Evil is acquired, an ugly dress that can be cast aside, dirt that can be washed away. Good is inherent, the real person underneath. For example, to us the most striking habits of the headhunting Hebrew Indians who live in the jungles at the headwaters of the Amazon are repulsive, vicious, cruel, and evil. They cut off the heads of their enemies in a bloody raid, shrink them to the size of a fist, then drunkenly dance around them. On the other hand, I found that they were shocked at the wholesale killing by bomb and shell of our civilized nations. When I tried to explain the worthy aims that lay behind our wars, I was told of the good aims behind their headhunting, a deeply religious motivation, in fact, concerned with the peace of soul of their departed relatives. The cruelty of the headhunter, as with us, usually springs from a mistaken notion of how to accomplish something good. I looked beyond the obvious bad practices of the headhunters and saw good, the same good that we practice and preach. A Hebrew Indian is a devoted husband or wife. He is an infinitely kind and patient parent. He is warm and friendly when he receives friendship. He opens his house and his larder and his heart to the stranger who is honest and decent. Without the loving care of a Hebrew chief and his family, I might never have survived a serious illness that struck me while deep in the jungle. In all my years of exploring among savage peoples, I have never once been robbed, cheated, harmed, or even threatened, perhaps because I never carry a gun. What we call good is the same thing the headhunter and the pygmy call good. Goodness is universal. Evil is transient and changing. Being capable of change, evil can be overcome. And I believe that sometime the human race will get over the lying, the killing, the selfishness. Only goodness in man will essentially remain strong, basic, unalterable, the common spark of divinity in us all.
That was Louis Cotlow, well-known explorer, photographer, and author, who lives in New York City.
Listen while the makers of Rexall drug products and 10,000 independent Rexall family druggists bring you Dick Powell as Richard Diamond, private detective.
This is your Rexall family druggist speaking to you for the 10,000 independent druggists who have made the word Rexall part of our own store names and who recommend and sell the 2,000 or more drug products made by the Rexall Drug Company, like Rexall MI31, for example, Rexall's popular and versatile mouthwash, gargle, and breath deodorant. Full-strength MI31 kills contacted germs almost instantly, yet will not harm the delicate membranes of the mouth and throat. Ask for Rexall MI31 at Rexall drugstores everywhere. And remember, you can depend on any drug product that bears the name Rexall.
Good health to all from Rexall. Now your Rexall family druggist brings you another exciting half hour with Richard Diamond, Private Detective, starring Dick Powell.
Diamond Detective Agency. When it's murder or less and you're caught in a mess, if you can't pay my fee, my advice is confess.
Rick, you old son of a gun. This is Frank.
Frank? Oh, Frank Bowers?
Yeah. Oh, it's good to talk to you again, Rick. How you been?
Well, no complaints, Frank. What's with you?
Doing great, Rick. Just great. Bought me a half interest in a gym here in town.
Yeah? Sell all your fighters?
Oh, but one. Boy by the name of Max Farmer. Say, he's going to the main event tonight. You want to catch him?
Well, all depends. Who's throwing him?
No, Rick, no. This boy's really good. Say, why don't you drop by the arena tonight?
Oh, sorry, Frank. I got a date, and she hates the sight of blood.
Talk her into it, boy. I'll leave a couple of passes for you at the gate.
Passes?
Yeah, sure.
Well, I'm a sucker for a good argument. See you tonight, Frank. That night, I led Helen to our seats at ringside. She was dressed to kill, and from the look on her face, I thought I might be the first on her list.
Rick.
Yes, baby?
Would you mind telling the man behind me to stop dripping mustard on my mink?
Oh, sure, honey. Hey, Buster, please do not feed the animals. That's the good boy.
Rick, why of all places the fights?
But, honey, these are $10 seats.
Hey, Ricky, glad you could use the passes.
Boing.
Move your feet, Rockefeller, and let the man in.
Gee, it's good to see you again, Rick. Say, I want you to meet Lorna Thorne.
Wow. Hanging onto Frank's arm, I saw why boys like girls. She was wearing slightly more than the fighter. Had so many curves I got seasick just looking at her. As I stared, I suddenly felt a strange sensation in my legs. Helen was digging her heel into my shin.
Come up for air, Ricky, dear.
Honey, I want you to meet Frank Bowers.
Sally, I'd know you anywhere. Rick's told me a lot about you.
Frank. Yeah? That was 5 years ago. This is Helen.
Oops. My mistake, huh? Lorna, I want you to meet Helen.
Hiya. Well, when in Rome. Hiya.
What a spot for a thesaurus.
Hey, sit over there, will you, honey? I want to sit next to Rick. Oh, Rick, it's a shame I didn't tip you to this fight earlier. You could have put some dough on my boy and really cleaned up.
You think he'll win, huh?
No, I know he'll win. He's fighting Lou Scott, strictly a bum from upstate. The syndicate made the match just to build up Farmer's name and pick up some easy dough on the side.
Now he tells me.
Here's my boy getting in the ring now.
I watched Max Farmer climb through the rope, stop, smile at the television cameras, then at the crowd, and then at the cameras again. If the people at home thought they were seeing a reissue of The Hairy Ape, then television had improved. Because that's exactly how Max looked.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is your main event. 10 rounds of boxing. In the white corner, wearing black trunks, weighing 175, and hailing from Buffalo, Lou Scott. And in the black corner, wearing purple trunks, weighing 179, and right from our own New York City, Max Farmer.
The boys met in the center of the ring, received some fatherly advice from the referee, shook gloves, and went back to their corners.
Okay, Max. Okay, I'm going to do it. Come on, get him, son, get him.
Well, Frank was right. It certainly was a pushover. 2 minutes later, the fight was 7 counts from being over. Only it wasn't Lou Scott who was fast asleep on the canvas. The sleeping beauty was Frank's boy, Max Farmer.
Max, get up. come on! Shut up! Max! Hey! Max, get up! No! Get up, you bum!
Don't you teach your fighters to duck, Frank?
Oh, I don't understand it. It's all wrong, Rick.
Rick, how can that man sleep up there with all this noise?
Oh, Helen.
Just call me Sal. Now can we go home?
Sure, baby.
Rick, stick around, will you? I may have a job for you.
Oh?
Yeah. Look, I'm going down to the dressing room. Meet me there in 10 minutes. Come on, Lorna.
From the look on Frank's face, I could tell he was worried. So I took Helen outside and put her in a cab. She was a good sport about going home alone, though. Didn't say a word. Not even goodbye. Then I went back inside and made my way to Farmer's dressing room.
Come on.
Inside, I could hear Frank's angry voice.
All right, so you won't tell me who. But you ain't going to get away with this, Max. I'll find out, and when I do, you'll be back there.
Frank!
I'll be right out, Rick. And remember this, you bum. We're through, see? Go!
Hello, Rick.
Aren't you a little tough on the guy just for losing a fight?
Farmer lost that fight before he ever got into the ring. It was fixed.
Well, that's strong talk, Frank. Got anything to back it up?
Look, I know this boy. I trained him myself. He could have won tonight's fight with his eyes shut. Somebody paid him to take a dive.
Maybe it was his own idea.
Max don't get ideas. He's too dumb. Whew. Rick, I want you to find out who is behind this fix.
Well, you make it sound simple. You got any leads?
Maybe. Drop by the gym the first thing in the morning, and we'll start from there.
First thing next morning, I went down to Frank's gym. They say the early bird gets the worm, and I guess it's true. For standing right inside the door was none other than Sergeant Otis, pride and joy of the 5th Precinct. Pardon me, but aren't you Jack Dempsey?
No, my name is... Diamond. You here?
Very observant, Otis. You're improving. Learned to blow a whistle yet?
Why do I always have to run into you?
Aren't you afraid to be out without your keeper? Where's Walt?
Frank, what are you doing here?
Oh, hi, Walt. Hi. Well, I've got a client here. What's your excuse?
Routine check on a suicide. Guy by the name of Frank Bowers leaped from the Brooklyn Bridge.
What? Frank Bowers?
Yeah, know him?
Yeah. Walt, are you sure about this?
It's open and shut. 3 witnesses saw him do it. We pulled his body out of the river this morning.
Oh, I can't believe it. Frank had no reason to kill himself. I was with him all last evening.
That's a good reason.
Shut up, Otis. Sorry, Rick, but these things happen.
No, not to guys like Frank. He was no quitter. You sure about those witnesses?
They're ordinary citizens, Rick. We took their statements this morning.
That still sounds phony, Walt.
Look, Rick, I know it's hard to believe a friend would take the easy way out, but in this case, it's a fact.
Walt, Frank was a good friend. And before I believe he killed himself, someone's got to convince me.
All right. Otis, drive Diamond out to those witnesses' homes. I'll walk back to the office.
Oh, Lieutenant, why do you always pick on me?
Fate, Otis. Don't fight it. It's bigger than us. Come on. Otis drove like a madman, which was strictly in character. The first witness, a butcher named Henry Burton, was at work. But the butcher's wife, a typical homemaker, gave us her version of Frank's death.
And just like I told the police, off went the overcoat and over he went. Oh, it was awful.
The woman trembled, Otis gloated, and I grabbed my hat. Her husband worked at a nearby market, and their stories checked. That took care of the first 2 witnesses. Then we drove to the home of Bill Voss, the third and final witness.
Well, I was coming home from a late movie, and I started across the Manhattan approach to the bridge. This guy, Bowers, was about 10 yards in front of me. It was foggy, and I couldn't see him very well. But I could make him out when he stopped. He threw off his topcoat, climbed the guardrail, and dived in. I yelled, but it was too late. I'm the one who called the police.
The stories all checked, but I still wasn't convinced. So I had Otis drop me off at Frank's gym. If Frank did kill himself, then there had to be a reason. I decided to check on Frank's partner, one Ben Lamb. I found him in his office.
It's too bad about Frank.
Lamb, what about the business here? Any trouble that might explain why Frank did it?
No, everything's running smoothly here. Of course, it was last night's fight, but... that's out of the question.
Well, then maybe it's an answer. Keep talking.
Yeah, the syndicate is looking for whoever fixed last night's fight. They play kind of rough when they're mad, and, well, maybe Frank was afraid of what they might do to him. Huh?
You mean he'd kill himself just to save them a bullet? Nah, that's false economy.
Yeah, it's just a thought. Forget it.
I have. But I take it you think Frank was behind the fix.
I didn't say that.
The farmer couldn't plant it himself. He's too dumb.
And Frank was too smart.
I said it. It's just a thought.
That you may be partly right. Maybe Frank's death does have something to do with last night's fight. Is Max Farmer around?
I saw him outside earlier.
Thanks.
Now, Mr. Diamond, might I ask what makes you so interested in Frank's suicide?
Was it suicide, Mr. Lamb?
Well, wasn't it suicide?
I ask you first. See you around, Lamb.
Before we continue with the adventures of Richard Diamond, private detective, here's your Rexall family druggist.
Last week, a customer told me that
something I really like about Rexall milk of magnesia is that one bottle won't be so thick I can't even pour it, and the next one thin and watery. Somehow, Rexall milk of magnesia always seems to be just right.
Well, ma'am, that's because every bottle of Rexall milk of magnesia has to meet an exacting standard of viscosity, or it won't wear the Rexall label.
What do you mean by viscosity?
Well, an easy definition would be the degree of thickness in a liquid. Now, Rexall scientists conduct scientifically precise tests on every batch of Rexall milk of magnesia to make sure it meets this constant standard of viscosity, because that's one big reason why you'll always get a uniform dosage from every bottle.
Oh, and I thought it was all just an accident.
Oh, no, ma'am. There are no accidents behind the fact. You can always depend on any drug product that bears the name Rexall.
And now back to tonight's adventure with Richard Diamond, private detective, starring Dick Powell.
I stood in the center of Frank's gymnasium, certain that Frank's supposed suicide had something to do with last night's fight. But how? That was the jackpot question. In one corner of the gym, I saw Max Farmer hitting a punching bag with a methodical, monotonous rhythm. I walked over to him. Max?
Yeah.
My name is Diamond.
Yeah.
I was a friend of Frank Bowers.
Yeah.
Well, if you can spare any more words, I'd like to ask you a question.
Look, if it's about last night, forget it, see? I don't know nothing about nothing.
No argument there, but I came to see you about boxing.
Huh? I don't get you.
Well, Frank always said you were one of the best, and I thought you could give me a few pointers.
Oh. You a fighter?
No. I just like to show off at the Y. You know how it is.
Oh, sure. Well, you get some trunks from the shower boy, and we'll go with you. You can learn plenty from me.
Good, Max. That's just what I'm hoping to learn. Plenty. The shower boys gave me a pair of gloves and purple trunks. I felt like a self-conscious tulip as I entered the ring, but Max seemed quite impressed.
Hey, you got a pretty good build.
I also go steady. You all set?
Yeah, I'm ready. Put 'em up. No, not above your head.
Max, we come from different environments.
Okay, let's go. Hey, you're not bad.
Just lucky. Hey, wait till I tell my friends that I boxed with the Max Farmer.
Yeah, they like that, huh?
Like it? I'll be a hero. After all, Max, you've never lost a fight. I forgot last night. Sorry.
Oh, don't think nothing about that fight. I'll be up there again. You'll see.
Oh, no doubt. Hey, wait a minute. Let's take a break. I'm winded.
Okay.
Whew. You know, you fighters have a lot of perseverance.
Huh? Yeah, that's what we got, all right. You said.
I guess good athletes are just born, huh? Not made.
Buddy, that's the truth. You know, I've been in sports since grade school.
Still at it?
What, sports?
Skip it. I bet you were good even then, Max.
Oh, boy, was I. I played football in high school. Made all state.
Weren't always a boxer, huh?
No, I've done everything. Hey, tell me. What's the greatest exhibition of sports in the world? Go on, think.
Shriners Convention?
Shriners? Nah. The Olympics. And I was in them, too. Would have won, but Marshall Wayne beat me on points.
My. Boy, I have a lot to tell my friends. You know, there's just one other fighter I'd like to brag about sparring with. That's Lou Scott.
What? That Scott's a bum. I could whip him with my eyes shut.
Oh? I heard that's how you lost.
Look, forget about last night. That fight was...
Go on, Max.
Oh, yeah, I had a headache last night, that's all. Now I gotta take a shower. See you around.
It was the first time I'd ever gone fishing in a boxing ring. I was hoping to find out who was behind the fix. That might throw some light on Frank's death. But to coin an old phrase, the big one got away. Next on my list was the girl Frank was with at the fight, Lorna Thorne. She danced at the Silver Circle, a small nightclub not far from the gym. I went backstage, climbed the iron stairs, and found her room.
Just a sec. Well, Mr. Diamond.
Hello, Miss Thorne.
Sit down. Care for a drink?
It all depends. Are we drowning our sorrow or celebrating?
I don't get you.
Well, you don't seem too upset about Frank.
Oh, that. I'm not the type to cry, honey. Ruins mascara. Oh, don't get me wrong. I liked Frank. Liked him a lot, but we were both in it just for the laughs.
Mm-hmm. Tell me, did Frank come up here after he left the arena?
Yeah. He came up and we talked till it was time for my number. He left about midnight.
Did he seem upset?
Now that you mention it, he did.
Lorna, how well do you know Ben Lamb?
Only seen him around. Why?
Well, Lamb thinks Frank might have been behind a fixed fight.
Could be. He sure was nervous.
I see. You and Lamb didn't compare stories by any chance?
I told you, I've only seen him around.
Uh-huh. Hey, this is a nice mink coat. Been saving unemployment checks?
I'm a working gal, remember?
Oh, come now, honey. You don't earn enough here to buy this kind of coat.
I'm a bookie on the side.
Pedersen's Furriers on the label. That's real richy, kid.
Thanks. Now I gotta change.
Okay.
Oh, don't run off. I'll only be a minute.
Some other time, honey.
Suit yourself. I'll be around.
I'll bet you will. I went back to my office, locked the door, put my oxbloods up on my dusty desk, and tried to think. There was no logical motive for suicide, but there was plenty for murder. Lamb would inherit Frank's half of the business. Farmer might have been afraid Frank would blackball him with other managers. And Lorna was the type who would do anything for a fast buck. But then there was that constant headache, the three witnesses. My thoughts were all jumbled up. I kept trying to remember everything that had been said today. I kept hearing voices in a jumbled sequence.
The syndicate plays rough. Frank may have been afraid.
Well, I've been in sports since grade school.
It's an open and shut case, Rick. You're a hard man to convince, Shamus.
Then over he went. Oh, it was awful.
Frank behind it? Yeah, it was only a plug, Diamond.
I'm not the type to cry, honey. It ruins mascara.
Then he climbed the rail and dived in.
I won two, and Marshall Wayne beat me on points.
Climbed the rail and dived in.
Marshall Wayne beat me. Marshall Wayne. Wayne!
Then he dived in. Dived in. Dived.
I had it. I knew how Frank was killed. Hello?
Mr. Diamond, this is Francis.
It was Helen's butler calling to invite me to dinner that evening. He said something about Helen expecting me, but I wasn't listening. I kept hearing that witness say Frank dived in. It was the answer to the whole thing.
Mr. Diamond, sir, are you listening?
Francis, if you were going to commit suicide...
Sure, sir. I beg your pardon, sir.
Look, if you were going to kill yourself from the Brooklyn Bridge, what would you do?
Oh, dear, I'd reconsider.
No, Francis. If you really were, would you jump or would you dive?
Why, I'd probably jump, sir. Yes, I'm sure I would.
Well, of course. It's a natural thing to do. See you later, Francis. The pieces began to fall into place. I remembered something Max Farmer had said earlier. Marshall Wayne had beaten him on points. Marshall Wayne. I had associated that name with boxing, but now... I checked in the sports almanac. Listed under the 36 Olympics, I found Marshall Wayne won the high diving competition that year. And Max had competed with him. Now I was certain. First, I put in a call to Federson's Furriers for some information. So far, so good. Then I called Walt and told him to meet me at the gym. It was closing time when I got there, and most of the fighters were leaving. But I caught sight of Max Farmer as he made his way out of the showers. How's the water, Max?
Huh? Diamond.
What's the matter? You don't look happy to see me.
What are you doing here?
The boys at the Y, remember? I came for some more pointers.
It's closing time.
Oh, that's too bad. That's the only reason you don't want to spend some time with me, huh?
Yeah.
You're not too tired.
Me? I'm never tired. They're just closing up, that's all.
Well, Max, old pal, I've got good news for you. I fixed it with Lamb for me to lock up when we're finished.
Huh? Well,
Not scared by any chance?
Me scared of you? Why? Get some trunks. You'll see who's scared.
I wondered if my Blue Cross plan was still in effect as I changed clothes and followed Max out to the ring in the middle of the deserted gymnasium. Max had an ugly scowl on his face, and I knew that this time he would pull no punches. Ouch. Hey, playing rough, eh, pal?
You got a lousy guard. That's all.
Hi. You act nervous. Tired of boxing? Maybe you'd rather be swimming, huh?
Huh?
Oops, sorry. Now your guard is down. Of course, a born athlete like you would be happy doing anything in the way of sports, I suppose. Maybe even diving. Your guard, pal, your guard.
You don't make sense.
No, I think so. Oh, your mind's wandering, Max. Keep your guard up. You know, for a real sport, like, say, high diving, there's really no place around here to practice. Unless, of course, you tried the Brooklyn Bridge. I'll bet a really good diver could make it from the Manhattan approach without a scratch.
Now, listen, what's the...
The guard, Samson. Better watch it.
Hold it a minute. What's the big idea?
The big idea came when I figured out how 3 witnesses could see a suicide that wasn't a suicide.
You're loony.
Am I? Those witnesses didn't see Frank because he was already in the river. You'd pushed him in. You waited for some people to show up, and then you dived in.
No.
Yes, Max, yes. But you weren't alone in this. Someone had to talk you into taking a dive in a fight and a different kind later on. You'd have thrown the fight for any man's money, but you'd only risk your neck for a particular species. Female. Men are funny that way.
It ain't true.
Max, Lorna confessed an hour ago.
I'll kill you for this.
That's your third and final dive, Max.
That's a nice right cross, Rick.
Oh, I seen better.
Wow, the little boy's in blue. About time. Walt, when Joe Palooka here wakes up, I think he'll confess. He believes the girl already did.
Yeah, so I heard. Rick, how did you figure her in this mess?
Well, like most females, she couldn't wait for a mink coat. According to Fedderson's Furrier, she bought an expensive coat the day after the fight, paid cash for it.
These amateur criminals.
Yeah, someone had to be the brains behind Max's action, so I put 2 and 2 together and got 2. Max and Lorna.
Yeah. Otis, go pick up Lorna Thorne. Well, stop fixing your tie and move.
Oh, let him alone, Walt. First date he's had in years. What is it?
Do you have to play so loud?
Well, I can't help it, baby. It's the brute in me.
Mm-hmm. And that shiner, darling. What happened? Fly out or doorknob?
Young lady, I have been boxing. Just call me Kid Diamond, please.
Oh, no. Boxing? You?
Well, why not?
It's so strenuous.
Well, I'm in fair shape.
What do you use for muscles?
You just put up your dukes and I'll show you.
All righty. Now get up and sing.
I'm young and healthy, and you've got charm. It'd really be a sin not to have you in my arms. I'm young and healthy, and so are you. When the moon is in the sky, tell me what am I to do? If I could hate you, I'd keep away, but that ain't my nature. I'm
full of vitamin A. I'm young and healthy, so let's be bold. In a year or 2 or 3, maybe we will be too old. If I could hate you, I'd keep away. But that ain't my nature. I'm full of vitamin A. Ooh, I'm young and healthy, so let's be bold. In a year or 2 or 3, maybe we will be too old.
Rick, I'm sorry I hit you so hard, but you're such a show-off.
Now, look, honey, you got the wrong idea about this whole...
Begging your pardon, Mr. Diamond, sir, but I just wanted to tell you that I've changed my mind. I would dive off the bridge.
What, Francis?
You see, I've always been afraid to dive, and, well, it would be fun just that once.
Oh, no.
Again, here's your Rexall family druggist.
Whenever you have a headache, remember this about Rexall aspirin. When taken with water, the 5 full grains of pure aspirin in every Rexall tablet are ready to go to work for you even before they reach your stomach. So whenever you have a headache, remember that about Rexall aspirin. Ask for it at Rexall drugstores everywhere. And remember always, you can depend on any drug product that bears the name Rexall.
Good health to all from Rexall. Richard Diamond, Private Detective, stars Dick Powell in the title role and is written by Richard Carr and Marvin Marks with music composed and conducted by Frank Worth. Featured in tonight's cast were Virginia Gregg, Ted DeCorsia, Wilms Herbert, Dee Tatum, Wally Mayer, Howard McNear, Hy Averback, and Jay Novello. Richard Diamond, Private Detective, is produced and directed by Jaime Del Valle. This is Bill Foreman inviting you to be with us next Wednesday at this time when we will again bring you Dick Powell as Richard Diamond, Private Detective.
Hiya, beautiful.
Get lost, Bristlepuss. You need a shave.
But I have shaved. What else do you want me to do?
Silly boy, she wants you to go Stag.
Go Stag? But why?
Because Stag is Rexall's exclusive line of men's good grooming aids. Like Stag Brushless Shave Cream. No fuss, no massage, just smooth it on and presto, you get a clean, close shave. Your face stays smooth and whiskerless all day long.
I'll do it. I'll go Stag.
That's it. Join the Stag line now at Rexall drugstores everywhere.
Yes, to make girls care. Go Stag.
This is NBC, the National Broadcasting Company.
This I believe. The more a man sees of the world, the more tolerant of people he is likely to become. Born in Oregon 35 years ago, son of a small-town banker, Louis M. Hoskins has roved much of this planet. Now Executive Secretary of the American Friends Service Committee in Philadelphia, his outlook is a universal one, fortified by personal experience.
During the helter-skelter days of guerrilla civil fighting in China, our Quaker unit found it hard to carry on the desperately needed medical work unobstructed. Appreciated by both sides, it still fell victim to the uncertainties of the tide of battle. For example, a Quaker hospital changed hands 6 times in 10 days, but carried on its medical work throughout. The necessity of identification by both armies made necessary occasional trips across no man's land. In such cases, if it was somewhat ticklish leaving one side, it was more difficult to make contact with the army of the other side. I remember one such trip to negotiate with communist authorities regarding the medical needs of this fought-over area. We were well into disputed territory when a Chinese member of the unit and I were captured by a lone communist sentry. He was only a youngster, or perhaps 14, and was dangerous primarily because he was badly frightened. I was acutely conscious of the barriers which divided us. In addition to the normal ones of nationality, race, and language, were the unnatural ones of fear, suspicion, and hatred produced by propaganda. I was a representative of the nation he had been told was the enemy of his people. Though unarmed, I was suspected of trickery and deceit. After considerable palaver, the young communist soldier agreed to permit my Chinese colleague to return for the other members of our negotiating party while I would be held hostage. For over 20 minutes, as I faced this intense Chinese lad, covering me with his rifle, I tried to win his confidence through the persuasion of open-heartedness. I hoped to penetrate to his better nature through the power of friendship. As I talked haltingly with him in Chinese about everyday things, reassuring him of my goodwill and desire to help his people, I fell upon a device to reach through the artificial barriers and touch his human and normal side. I showed him a picture of my young daughter, and then asked him about his own family. He told me of a baby sister at home, and an older brother also in the army. Unconsciously, it seemed, he put down his gun. In my halting Chinese, I told him about the work of the Quaker unit, why we were there, and how we hoped to bring friendship and goodwill with our technical assistance. No matter how encrusted had become his suspicion and hatred, long built up by propaganda, it was possible to reach through to his common humanity and to elicit a friendly response from his deeper spirit. When the rest of the Quaker party had arrived, the young soldier agreed to pilot us back to his headquarters where we could carry out our vital negotiations. I cite this personal incident to illustrate my faith in the possibility, under God, of that vital, deeper communication among all members of our common humanity, which is necessary for peace and understanding.
Those were the views of Louis M. Hoskins, Executive Secretary of the American Friends Service Committee, a group whose contribution to world peace has won it a Nobel Prize. But Mr. Hoskins' convictions are based not simply on broad issues. He has a wife and 3 daughters, enough, we think, to provide a sound personal motivation for the things he believes in.
And a pair of clever crooks in the case of murder a la carte. I invite you to hear Mr. District Attorney, which follows immediately on NBC.
WMAQ-NBC in Chicago. The big story tonight at 9 is about the missing chemist who was found by reporter Ike McAnally. His newspaper big story was the winner of the $500 Big Story Award. Then stay tuned at 9:30 for Curtain Time and at 10 o'clock for Supper Club.
Ipana Toothpaste and Sal Hepatica present
Mr. District Attorney, champion of the people, defender of truth, guardian of our fundamental rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Mr. District Attorney is brought to you by Ipana Toothpaste and Sal Hepatica. Ipana for the smile of beauty, Sal Hepatica for the smile of health. Ipana, Sal Hepatica.
And it shall be my duty as District Attorney not only to prosecute to the limit of the law all persons accused of crimes perpetrated within this county, but to defend with equal vigor the rights and privileges of all its citizens.
Mr. District Attorney, and tonight, the case of murder a la carte.
Hey, Stanley, will you cut it out? Stanley, you boob!
Yeah, Hannah?
For the love of Pete, stop that hammering. I'm trying to concentrate on the racing form.
Oh, I'm sorry, dear. I was just finishing this here little rant house.
Yeah, you and your bill. Finishing a what?
This wren house, Hannah, you see? I put a number 5 hinge in the bottom so you could clean it out.
You're nuts. You know what, Stanley? A wren house. What for?
Well, we won't always live in this small apartment, dear. I want to have so many things ready when we get a home in the country.
I swear I married an idiot. Hammering, sawing, his kisser full of nails. Sit still, I'll get it. It might be a wren.
Oh, I'll use the sandpaper, dear. It won't disturb you.
Hello?
Hannah? Nicky.
Oh, hi, Nicky.
I gotta talk fast, Hannah. I have to get back to my table.
Yeah, I'm listening.
Mr. and Mrs. Mallory are here for dinner again. You got the name?
Mallory.
I just brought them a bottle of Carte on the house. Understand?
How long will it take them to drink it?
An hour at least. Probably more.
All right, what's the address?
Jefferson Towers, apartment 16. You got that?
Right.
Look for a mink, silver fox cape, and a platinum dyed stole. Oh, yes, and a ruby necklace. She is not wearing it tonight.
Not bad, Nicky. Send them another bottle. They'll need it when they get home.
That's my girl. Good luck now.
Bye, Nicky. Hey, useless. Stanley.
Hey, look, Hannah, you see how it would hang in a tree?
Like a dead duck, darling. Now get shaved and dressed, will you? We're going out on a job.
You got nothing on the street, Harrington?
No, not a thing, Chief. I even covered some of the boys on the retired list.
Well, that doesn't help, does it? I counted on picking up a lead.
Well, in the first place, there's no pattern in these robberies. Take the fur coat boys now. They wouldn't be seen dead heisting jewelry.
I know. Still, that's what's happening.
Yeah.
I had Mr. and Mrs. Mallory in here an hour ago.
Oh, the ones that got robbed last night?
Yes, that's right. They had dinner at some nightclub, and when they got back to the Jefferson Towers, it was all over.
What's the loot? I ain't seen the list.
A mink coat, silver fox cape, a fur stole, and ruby necklace, same as the others.
Oh, boy, the papers ain't going to be fun. This is 5 in a row, and all richies.
Oh, golly, Chief, I'm sorry I took so long.
Oh, it's quite all right, Miss Miller. How did the meeting go?
Well,
what meeting, Miss Miller? Your poker club again?
I'm out for spring baseball practice, Harrington. Didn't you know? No, I went to the Girl Scouts luncheon. Oh, they're a wonderful organization. This is their 37th anniversary, you know.
Yes, it is a fine group, Miss Miller. After we finish, I'd like to hear about their plans.
All right. I'll get my notebook.
Yeah, I wish there was something to take notes about.
Well, our best bet now is to find that pattern, Harrington. 5 robberies, all of them prominent or wealthy residents.
Yeah, all of them good addresses, too, Chief.
Yes, and in all 5 cases, expensive loot. Let's have the 5 folders, will you please, Miss
I
Miller?
was just getting them. Here you are.
Thank you. All right, Harrington. 5 in a row is plenty, so let's get to work.
All right, that's $700 apiece on the platinum and an ace each on the necklace. All right?
Well, you should have argued with the fence, Nicky. When my dad was alive, he did better.
It's tough, Hannah. The papers are full of it.
Well, you still should have argued. One night I saw my old man reach over and put the Jap choke on a fence. He raised the price, all right.
What, dear?
The Jap choke. I'll show you sometime, Stanley. Remind me. Got a new deal coming up, Nicky?
That's what I wanted to discuss, Hannah. I think now we quit.
We what?
I told you in the beginning it couldn't be for long. Even now, the district attorney might suspect the Regency Club.
In a pig's eye, he might. Why should he?
He can't think it is just coincidence all 5 times we get a haul, they are having dinner at the club. Yes, and at one of my tables.
Why not? It is the ritziest joint in town, yeah, and you're the most popular head waiter.
Hannah, look, can I say something?
Not now. It's too good to give up, Nicky. You know that.
But,
now, I haven't finished. Look how simple it is. You watch your regular customers, make a list of the furs and stuff.
Look, Hannah,
Will you be quiet? They even make it easy, Nicky. They sign their dinner checks. We get their address.
I know all that.
Well, what could be sweeter? The night Mrs. Richwich leaves something big at home, you call us, we get dressed up, go over with the passkey, and get it.
I'm trying to tell you the DA has asked to see all the Regency Club employees tomorrow for questioning.
Well, let him question. Turn on the head waiter act for him, baby. He won't understand a word you're saying.
Hey, look,
In a minute, Stanley. As long as we look good to the doorman, yeah, and can work the locks while we're in, Nicky. Now, What are you yapping about?
Well, I think Nicky is right, Hannah. We could quit now and get a nice house in the country.
What?
Oh, you should see the plans I got, Nicky. I'm going to do the whole kitchen myself in pine.
Stanley.
With built-in sink and cupboards, Nicky. You know... Yeah, dear?
Get lost.
But I was...
Beat it, will you? Go down to your workbench and whip up a birdhouse.
All right. Matter of fact, I will. Excuse me, Nicky.
Sure. Go ahead, Stanley.
You know, one of these days, Hannah, you'll go too far.
You don't treat Stanley very nice, Hannah.
Oh, why should I? He's happy with a chisel and a bucket of nails.
It's good for a man to have a hobby, I suppose.
Maybe. What's yours, Nicky?
Mine?
Sit still. I'll light us a cigarette.
Stanley is, in the basement?
Here. Yeah, he makes things.
You're not smoking?
One's enough. I'll take drags off yours.
Good Lord. What is that?
So help me someday I'll hit him with his own hammer. Stanley, turn that thing off, you dickheaded jerk! Stanley!
What was that, dear?
I said turn that thing off.
Well, it was just my power saw, Hannah. I'm sorry.
I don't care what it was. You make that racket again, I'll wrap it around your skull. Having his rends. Now, let's see, where were we?
Hannah, about pulling any more jobs?
Oh, we'll pull more jobs, Nicky. You know we will. We got lots to do, you and me. Come on, honey. Sit down. Make yourself at home.
You know, it can happen to anyone, even to you.
Tonight or tomorrow, you may get one of those dull headaches that leaves you feeling miserable and out of sorts. And all just because you need a laxative.
So remember, like millions of others, you too can get gentle relief with Sal Hepatica.
A glass of sparkling Sal Hepatica gives you gentle relief. Welcome relief, day or night. Sal Hepatica, taken when you get up, brings gentle, speedy relief, usually within an hour.
And at the same time, if you're troubled with excess gastric acidity, Sal Hepatica sweetens your stomach.
So get a bottle of Sal Hepatica, America's most famous saline laxative, at any drug counter and keep it handy. Then,
day or night, get feeling right
with gentle, sparkling Sal Hepatica, the laxative that suits your convenience.
Sal Hepatica.
Now, as I understand it, Mr. Sylvania, there are several head waiters at the Regency Club. Is that right?
Antonio, Frank, Luigi, and there is myself, Nicky.
Nicky, I see. You know Mr. and Mrs. Mallory, do you, Nicky?
Pardon?
I don't need to tell you that we're working on a series of robberies, do I? Mr. and Mrs. Mallory were at the Regency Club the night their apartment was entered.
So? Oh, that is too bad.
You do remember them?
I remember all of my good customers and never forget.
I see. And the Fultons?
Fulton?
Yeah, let's try some of these other names. Mr. and Mrs. Fulton, Mr. and Mrs. Owen Conroy, Mr. and Mrs. Abington, Mr. and Mrs. Nathan Sims. You know these people, do you?
But I have told you, I know all of my customers. Please, I work very hard. I have done nothing.
Well, there's no reason to think you have. I'm merely interested in your cooperation.
Pardon?
I say, if you can help me, I'll appreciate it.
Oh, any time at all, sir. A pleasure. You come to the club for dinner. I will arrange it personally, sir. Yes, we start with bouillabaisse, chicory salad with romaine, a ground roast lamb.
Yes, that'll be very nice, I'm sure.
Pardon?
You may go now, Mr. Sylvania. If I need any more help, I'll call.
Oh, you are most kind, Mr. District Attorney. Merci beaucoup.
All right, don't mention it. Dorothy, if Miss Miller and Harrington have finished in the other room, ask them to come in here, would you please? Oh, they are? Oh, fine. Thank you. Come in. I just called Dorothy to see if you were free.
Oh, yeah, sure. I'm free and losing my mind, Chief. Those waiters talk everything but English.
Harrington isn't kidding, Chief. I don't know whether I was taking notes or ordering dinner.
Yes. I had a little difficulty myself.
Oh.
I got this much, though, Harrington.
Yeah?
In every single case, the people who were robbed dined at the Regency Club the night it happened.
Yeah, I got that too, Chief.
I have the notes on it.
Well, all right. There's our pattern, then. So let's see what the pattern makes.
The name is Phillips, Hannah. Mr. and Mrs. Austin Phillips. They've been customers of mine for years.
How big a score?
I haven't got it set yet, but it looks fine. Every time she comes in, she's wearing a different coat.
Rocks?
There must be dozens. Diamond bracelets, rings, solid gold cigarette cases. It's very nice.
And you wanted to quit. Aren't you glad I talked you out of it?
I'm glad about a lot of things, Hannah. The only worry is...
I know. Stanley.
He would care, would he?
If he knew about us? What if he does?
I hope you know how to handle him.
Oh, don't worry. I do. Like a baby.
Hey, Hannah, did you see my cross-cut saw? I had it just as... Ah, Nicky, I'm glad you're here.
It's good to see you, Stanley. You're looking for a saw?
Oh, no, that can wait. I haven't even told Hannah, but I've been waiting to talk to you. Both of you.
So, but it is so late, Stanley. Some other time. No, I really must be gone.
Hold it, Nicky, and drop the accent. You want to talk about what? Sandpaper?
Oh, no. No, I've been thinking, Hannah.
With what?
Now, look, I warn you, don't treat this lightly. Oh, I let you have your way, I know, but this time I'm serious.
Hey, Stan, old man.
Let him
maybe
say it, Nicky.
Well, I mean, all this here in the papers, the employees of the club being questioned and all, I've come to a decision.
I'll be a monkey's uncle. About what?
We're quitting, Hannah, not after the next one, not tomorrow or the next day, but now.
You kill me, Stanley. Go back to your birdhouse.
No, I mean it. We got money now, well over $3,000.
Well over 30 cents is more like it.
Look, Hannah, I happen to know. What's more, with the money, we could buy a nice trailer.
A nice what?
Second hand, I think. If it needs attention, I could fix it up. Hey, did you ever see the inside of a trailer, Nick?
Me?
Oh, you can do wonders with a hammer and a nail, snug as a bug in a rug.
Are you through now?
No, Hannah, no. Of course, it won't be like a house in the country, but that will come in time.
Now, listen to me.
In a moment. It has advantages, you know. Travel about, meet people. You know, I've always wanted to see Yellowstone National Park.
Just see it?
In comfort, of course. You can have that in a trailer, Hannah.
You can?
Oh, yeah. I thought a heavy gingham of some kind at the windows. You know, gives all the privacy in the world.
On wheels.
Oh, now, look, Hannah, you needn't be flippant. After all, half of what we've taken in is mine.
All right, brace yourself, Buster. I've got news for you.
Perhaps I should go.
Just stay put, Nicky. You just don't know the time of day.
I think I do, Hannah.
Yeah, well, Mr. Trailer, we ain't got any $3,000. At this exact minute, we ain't got a lousy $200.
Did you say?
What do you think I've been playing the races with? Shavings?
You're lying.
Am I? That's Nicky.
I'm sorry you lost so much, Hannah.
Well, I'm not. Easy come, easy go. My old man taught me that.
Oh, you thieving little swine.
Hey, no. Hannah, are you hurt? Hannah.
Oh. Look, Hannah, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do that. I just lost my temper.
Get out of my way, Nicky.
Hannah, I said I didn't mean to slap you. Hannah, be careful. You.
Come here.
Let me go, Hannah.
Hannah.
Stay out of this.
Hannah, please. You're hurting me.
Yellowstone National Park.
Hannah, let go.
How do you like this, Gingham, huh? How do you like this?
Hannah, let go of his neck. You don't know what you're doing.
Don't I?
He's dead?
He should be. The Jap choke works every time.
The one your father taught you.
Pop taught me a lot. Like easy come, easy go, Nicky. Remember that, will you? Now that you're going to hang around.
All right, Harrington. I've seen enough. Have one of the men throw a blanket over the body.
Yeah, all right, Chief. You agree with me?
Yes, there's no question about it. Death due to strangulation, I'd say.
The medical examiner's on his way.
Good, Miss Miller. How would you say the body got down here in the railroad yards, Harrington?
It was brought here. There's no sign of a struggle on the ground.
Yes, that's my idea, too. And in a car, I think.
Sure.
If he'd been hurled from a train, he'd never have landed over here.
Excuse me, is there any preliminary identity? I have to make out the card.
No, not a thing so far, Miss Miller.
I see.
Harrington?
Well, it don't look like there's going to be much either. Nothing in the pockets, labels torn out of his suit and clothes.
Yes, I noticed that.
Sure, they even tore the laundry marks off his shirt, looks like.
Yes, and took his ring.
Yeah.
Yes, you can see the line on his finger where he wore one.
Well, I still don't buy it as a plain mugging.
I doubt that, too. Especially when identification's been so carefully destroyed.
Yeah. You know, the neck is what gets me. How do you die like that?
Oh, excuse me, the examiner's arriving up on the ramp.
Oh, thank you, Miss Miller. Well, let's let him get to work, shall we? This one may be more of a puzzle than we know.
Hello?
Anna? Nicky? Any news?
Oh, forget it. I've been waiting for the call about the job.
Mr. and Mrs. Phillips are here in the club now.
Oh, wonderful.
They just ordered dinner, and they want to make an 8:40 curtain at the theater.
Oh, what a break, Nicky. She isn't wearing the chinchilla, is she?
She's wearing the mink. The chinchilla must be at home.
I'll have it in 1 hour.
Be careful, baby. They have a butler, you know. He may be home.
Just so that coat's at home, honey. That's all I need to know.
I beg your pardon, ma'am. Was the door open? Mr. and Mrs. Phillips are not at home this evening. If
You got any more questions, Bud, or can't you talk?
No, thank you. Tell Mr. and Mrs. Phillips I'll be out at 3. Yes, thank you.
Chief, can't we do something with those reporters? They're tearing their hair outside.
Not for the moment, I'm afraid, Harrington. Any reports from the morgue, Miss Miller?
Yes, sir, just now.
Yes.
Dr. Colgan finished his examination of the Phillips butler.
And?
The same as the man in the railroad yards. Death due to strangulation.
The same discoloration in the neck?
Oh, he didn't say. He's sending up his report.
Well, tell him not to bother. I'm going down to the morgue.
All right.
You want me, Chief?
Well, I want to set up something else first, Harrington. I got all I needed from Mr. Phillips.
Yeah?
Not only have all the victims in these robberies had dinner at the Regency Club, but it seems they all had the same waiter captain.
Which one, Chief?
Well, fortunately, Miss Miller, one you and Harrington didn't see.
Oh?
As for the two whom you did question, I'm arranging to have them take a vacation.
I don't get it, Chief. What's the plan?
Well, one that might work, Harrington. However, it's going to take a long time.
Dentists say the Ipana way works.
Yes, dentists say the Ipana way works.
In thousands of reports from all over the country, 8 out of 10 dentists say the Ipana way promotes healthier gums and brighter teeth.
Listen, here's the professionally approved Ipana dental care, the Ipana way.
First of all,
between regular visits to your dentist, brush all tooth surfaces with Ipana toothpaste at least twice a day.
And then
massage gums the way your dentist advises.
Remember, Ipana's special formula actually helps stimulate gum circulation.
Yes, for healthier gums and brighter teeth, the Ipana way.
Dentists say the Ipana way works.
Ipana toothpaste with a sparkling flavor that leaves your mouth fresher, your breath cleaner.
Ipana, the toothpaste more dentists personally use and recommend than any other.
So ask your dentist about Ipana and massage. A good dentifrice, like a good dentist, is never a luxury. Make the Ipana way your way to healthier gums, brighter teeth, and Ipana smile. Get Ipana toothpaste.
All right, so I had to take care of the butler. We got the coat, didn't we?
It won't be easy to get rid of Hannah. The fences all say chinchilla is too rare. Takes time to dispose of it.
All right, so we do another.
Now? But...
All right, hold it. Sure, it's getting hot, Nicky. I know that.
Very hot.
And I agree we should quit. Go somewhere, like you said.
But that is just what I'm saying.
But we can't go without dough, can we? You just said it'll take weeks to get the cut on the Phillips coat.
What
So we do just one more, Nicky. One big one, and we go. Now get somebody lined up, baby, and we're free.
Good evening, sir. It is a pleasure to see you again this evening.
Well, what do you know about that, Edith? He remembers us from last week.
Oh, how nice.
It is a pleasure, Mrs. Johnson. And if I may say so, sir.
Yes, Nicky, wasn't it?
Nicky, sir.
Good.
And the management has suggested that if you wish to sign your dinner checks, it will be a pleasure.
Well, now isn't that nice? Just sure. Send the bills to the apartment, Nicky. Apartment 20, the Westport Arms.
A pleasure, sir.
Good.
May I suggest oysters for Madame to start? The pecanic salts are excellent.
No, I think a hot consommé, please. It's been so cold. Oh, Harry, would you mind? I'll just put my mink over my shoulder.
Oh, allow me, Madame.
Oh, thank you.
And a hot consommé.
Yes, please.
It will be a pleasure. Was the venison all right, Mr. Johnson?
Oh, my favorite meat, Nicky. Even better than last week. Well, my dear, you ready to go?
Yes, Harry, we ought to get home. Oh, will you ask Nicky to get my coat, please? It's the sable there on that chair.
For tonight, Mr. Johnson, may I suggest the rack of lamb?
Well, it sounds good, Nicky. Oh, dear. Did we have lamb here the other night, dear?
Well, Harry, anything that won't take too long. We haven't much time, you know.
May I inquire if you are attending the theater again this evening?
Oh, gracious, no. Not dressed like this, Nicky. Mr. Johnson insists on going to the boxing matches.
Well, you're going to like them, dear. It's a great card tonight. Probably lasts until midnight, but it's worth it.
Well, thank goodness I'm dressed for it. If anyone mauls this old thing, I just don't care.
It's all set, Hannah. They're gone to the fights, and she's left all the furs at home. Remember now, the Westport Arms, apartment 20. I'll be in the car in front when you're through.
I've been waiting for you.
Why, you...
All right. Now just stand perfectly still.
My wrist, you've broken my wrist.
I don't doubt that. It's the only way I've learned to break that choke. Yes, in here, Harrington.
All right, Nicky. Come on, this is an outrage. How dare you? Hannah.
I can't stand the pain.
Get a doctor, Miss Miller, will you please?
Right away, Chief.
Well, a clean sweep, eh, Harrington? It's looked like this time they've ordered the full meal.
Here's a faster, better way to relieve pain. A new product that acts twice as fast as aspirin. The name is Bufferin.
Remember that name, Bufferin.
It acts twice as fast as aspirin. Now you can get faster relief from your headaches. pains due to colds, neuralgia, and minor muscular aches with Bufferin.
Remember that name, Bufferin.
It acts twice as fast as aspirin. You see, Bufferin is absorbed twice as fast into your bloodstream, so it goes to work faster to relieve pain, and gently, too. And because Bufferin tablets are antacid, they will not upset your stomach.
Remember that name, Bufferin, at drug counters everywhere.
Bufferin acts twice as fast as aspirin.
And now, with the explanation of tonight's case, here is your district attorney.
It's a pleasure to report, ladies and gentlemen, that with the arrest of Hannah Price and Nick Sylvania, we brought to an end the unusual wave of robberies. Both Hannah and Nicky will pay the full penalty demanded by law for the murders of the Phillips butler, as well as Hannah's husband, Stanley.
Golly, that was one assignment I liked, Chief. I've never eaten such good food in my life.
Yeah, and oh, boy, did you look swell in all those furs that you rented, Miss Miller.
Why, thank you, Harrington. But, of course, I look good in just anything.
Well, it was certainly good work, Miss Miller. You and Harrington sent Hannah right to the apartment where I was waiting simply by displaying those furs.
Yeah, and when we got there, we picked up Nicky in front of the joint, Chief.
Yes, actually, it was Hannah's peculiar method of choking her victims that helped, Harrington.
Yeah, that's the Japanese choke. Brother, that one's the works.
Yes, it nearly always kills, and without as much effort as is sometimes needed. Fortunately, it leaves a characteristic discoloration of the neck, as well as abrasions on the lower jaw.
And you saw those in the morgue, Chief?
Yes, I did, Miss Miller, on both Stanley and the butler. And that's why I was ready for Hannah when she tried the Japanese choke on me.
Yeah, and you can thank the Army service for that, huh, Chief?
Right.
Bring your arms down hard and you can break it.
Sir, and break the case, I'm glad to say.
I'll say so. Oh, Chief, what about next week?
Well, our case for next week is one of the most vital in our files, ladies and gentlemen. One which lays bare a vicious crime now being committed against all of us. It's the case of Send the Homeless, and I invite you to join us for it. Until then, thank you, and good night.
The names of all characters in tonight's dramatization are fictitious, and any resemblance to names of living persons or actual places is purely coincidental. Our stars were Jay Jostin in the title role, Len Doyle as Harrington, and Vicky Vola as Miss Miller. The music was under the direction of Peter Van Steeden. The program is produced and directed by Edward A. Byron and written by Robert Shaw. Mr. District Attorney was originated by Phillips H. Lord. Remember, Ipana toothpaste for the smile of beauty, Sal Hepatica for the smile of health. Bristol Myers invites you to tune in again next week for Duffy's Tavern and Mr. District Attorney